Here we go. Welcome everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, January 30th. It's a little bit after 7 p.m. Tonight we have a Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing and general meeting. We are here in Town Hall in room 119 and we have a quorum. Everybody's present. Fantastic. Getting right into it, the public hearing, we're going to start off there. The first item on the public hearing is Coastal Site Plan Review number 379, Flood Prevention Application number 441, Land Filling and Regrading Application number 562, Site Plan Application number 311, it's PL 23-191, Town of Darien, Great Island Access, 0, Great Island Road. It's the proposal to replace and widen the existing entry accessway / driveway between Rings End Road and the Great Island Road cul-de-sac to provide for two-way vehicular access and public access between Rings End Road and the larger Great Island property to the south and perform related site development activities within regulated areas. The work includes the addition of a sidewalk, landscaping, lighting, drainage, and other ancillary improvements. The 1.62 plus minus acre subject property is located on the east side of Goodwives River Road and Longneck Plant Road at the terminus of Rings End Road and is shown on Assessor's map number 58 as lot number 1-AA, parcel 23A on map 4145A of the Darien Land Records in the R1 residential zone. Fred, what do we got?
This application was submitted by the town under conformance with sections 810, 820, 850, and 1020 of the Darien zoning regulations under our coastal site plan, flood damage prevention, land filling regrading, and site plan application sections of the regulations. The application was referred out to Joe Canis of Ty and Bond. He submitted comments for the record dated January 29th, which were responded to by Redness and Mead today on the 30th. The application was referred out to the Fire Marshal's office. Bob Bush submitted comments for the record dated January 24th. Again, those comments were responded to by Redness and Mead today on the 30th. The application was also referred out to Connecticut Deep on, we received comments from Deep on January 25th. And the application also went before the Environmental Protection Commission. The EPC heard this application on January 24th. And we expect EPC to issue a decision on this application on February 7th, their next meeting. A small portion of the work is within the upland review area of Gorham's Pond, within 100 feet of Gorham's Pond. And then there's several tidal wetlands in close proximity to the driveway. So this is an application to widen the existing approximately 950-foot driveway by about 6 feet to 22 feet, the minimum for two ways of travel. As part of that widening, the entry pier on the north side at the intersection of Rings End and Pear Tree Point Road will also be widened to accommodate the widening of the road. The several small portions of the driveway are also located in the AE 14 flood zone, and the applicant has submitted stormwater management and flood damage reports certifying that there'll be no impact on stormwater and that everything has been designed to be flood proofed as well. Craig Flaherty of Redness and Mead is here tonight with Ed Gentile of Department of Public Works and Matt Pop of Environmental Land Solutions to present the application and answer any questions that you may have.
Fantastic, thank you. Just to make sure we're all on the same page, the neighbors were also notified, all the abutters?
Yes, everyone within 100 feet of this driveway parcel was sent a letter via certificates mailing.
And how long goes that go out? Like yesterday, 2 weeks ago, last
I
month?
think it was at least 2 weeks ago.
But that, I mean, just in terms of regular home.
Craig, do you remember that day?
I don't remember the date.
On or about January 16th.
Okay, so today's the
30th.
30th, so it's about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the mailing went out on the 16th.
Okay, fantastic. Because I guess the biggest one is the homeowners association and then the Ziegler Farm one, right?
Yes, I think there were about 8 to 10 folks that were noticed who owned property within 100 feet, and the proof of mailing was submitted for the record and checked by our office.
Okay, fantastic. Then one other, just housekeeping. Hey, Gentile, you're an ex officio on this board, so are you representing this board of the town? You're on the town side tonight?
The town.
The applicant side. Okay, fantastic. And I take it Craig Flaherty is the representative of the applicant.
Mostly, but Ed, do you want to do?
Yeah, sure.
I was going to do a few sentences and then I'll get up.
Thank you very much. Ed Gentile, Director of Public Works for the town of Darien. I'm standing in for Selectman McNally at this moment. She's stuck in the budget meetings right this second, so she'll be down here as soon as she can. She asked me to just say a few quick words, then turn it over to our consultants. First, just thank you for allowing us to bring forth this application. Great project, great piece of property, and I think this is going to give us, when we have the opportunity to build this, is going to give us an opportunity to open this up to the public and have them use it. So, without further ado, we'll turn it over to Craig.
Fantastic.
Ready to see you.
Sir?
Just state your name for the record, please.
Of course. All right, good evening. My name is Craig Flaherty. I'm a principal and senior engineer with Redness & Mead, a land use consulting company with primary offices in Stamford. On this application, Redness & Mead is providing land surveying, site civil engineering, and permitting services. I'm joined tonight by Matt Popp of Environmental Land Solutions. Matt is a landscape architect and wetland scientist. Matt has prepared the landscape plans, landscape architecture plans, the lighting plans for this application. So first, what are we here to talk about? On the screen is the town's GIS database that's in the cloud available for public inspection. You will recognize at the lower right-hand corner the familiar shape of Great Island, but that is not the primary focus of the application here tonight. The primary focus of the application is largely outlined in blue. The tax assessor hasn't quite caught up with the purchase of the cul-de-sac of Great Island Road. So this was, there you go.
Who did that? You?
Don't get too close. It's touchscreen apparently.
Nothing but the best.
Yeah, exactly. The tax assessor hasn't quite caught up with the purchase of the cul-de-sac. The blue that's outlined here is 1.3 acres, but if you look over there on the paper, that's the updated property and topographic survey indicating the property boundary of this particular parcel going around the cul-de-sac as well, for a total of just a little bit north of 1.6 acres. So that's, again, the disturbance associated with this application there's some ancillary striping and signage that occurs in the island, but really we're here to talk about getting a new driveway from Rings End Road into the cul-de-sac. Right now, what you see, if you're out there, everybody is very familiar with this. It's at the end of Rings End Bridge, looking south. You take a right to go to Pear-Tree Point, a left to go down Goodwives River Road, and that is the old entrance to the Ziegler Estate. That driveway you were looking at, the paved width, the asphalt in the middle, is probably about 14 feet wide, and then the curb to curb width that you're looking at is something in the range of 17 feet wide under existing conditions. Not suitable for two-way traffic. So really that is the general purpose of our application here tonight is to widen that road sufficiently so that we can get two-way traffic between here and the cul-de-sac. At that point, we'll institute, at least in the near term, a one-way loop on Great Island to facilitate operations safely. But in terms of future uses of Great Island, we are not here to talk about any of that tonight. It's not a part of the proposed application. Of course, the Great Island Advisory Committee has been formed, and they are letting out an RFQ to talk to firms about creating and helping the town create a master plan for the use of that property. So that process needs to take place before we understand what improvements may be appropriate for the island or may not be appropriate for the island.
So we're going to try to keep this narrowly focused on the 1.62 acre parcel.
Yeah, that's what we're here to talk about. That's the purpose of the application. The basic objective of the applicant is to widen that driveway. So I'll call up the existing conditions survey first, which is the piece of paper you see over on your left. Again, I've highlighted in blue the property boundary and a couple of things to note as they are relevant to sections of the application tonight. First, I've highlighted in cyan here and here the limits of the regulatory flood zone associated with coastal areas. Everything between those two lines is high and dry. Everything waterward of those two lines is technically in the 100-year flood zone. The base flood elevation
Craig,
here.
can you just expand it just a little bit?
Sure.
Just open it up.
Yeah, sure. Let me see if this is working. Otherwise, I'll go back to the mouse. Let me go back to the mouse. That was awful. Let's see. Is there a little hand here somewhere? No little hand.
If you click on the
Yeah.
zoom in,
Yeah,
just
let's
a
do that a
couple
little bit.
degrees. Perfect, there.
Yeah. So that's the flood zone by the gates.
Okay.
This would be a flood elevation of 14. The grade here at the edge of the road is about a 10.
Okay.
Mean high water is an elevation of which is indicated on the other side. We get down to the other side. So there's the same condition on the other side. Mean high water elevation is 3.7, so that's your kind of average high tide elevation. That represents the boundary of the parcel there. So this is the part below the base flood elevation over here.
Thank you.
Yep, going back big. We have the coastal resources, a part of your coastal site plan, and we've submitted for the record a CAM assessment. So what are the coastal resources in the area? North side, we've got Gorham's Pond, estuarine embayment. It obviously is dammed off by the dam below Rings End Bridge, but it has tidal influence, so it's actually regulated. It's the one water body on here regulated both by EPC and P&Z. We have Darien River, AKA the Gut. That is a tidal water body, and there's tidal mudflats there and coastal resources there. We have Scott Cove, which borders the site here. This property boundary of this 1.6 acre property is coincident with that mean high water line elevation of 3.7. Again, a lot of tidal mudflat in here. It's a coastal resource. And then there were some flagged tidal wetlands. So at the bottom here, there's the two forking causeways that go into Great Island. There's the earth one that's lined by the sugar maples, and there's the stone one that's lined by the walls. So on the outsides of those causeways, there are tidal wetlands. On the inside of those causeways is an inland wetland because it no longer has any tidal influence. So
I'm going to go back to the tax map because you can see those two. Those are homeowner association parcels, I think.
Yeah, and then there's two large open spaces associated with the original subdivision here and here, and those are the Great Island Association. Those are not owned by the town.
And they both touch the cul-de-sac.
And they both touch the cul-de-sac. That is correct.
So can you point the wetlands out there again? It's a little bit.
Well, yeah, you can pretty much see. This is all tidal marsh on this open space here. There's an inland wetland between the two driveways here, And you can see, this is a tidal pond here, and you can kind of see how the water from that tidal pond comes up in a finger right there on this actually residential property right there.
And then across the river to the north, what's the name of that street, I forget, where that house is?
Oh, this is Beverly right here.
Exactly, okay.
Yep.
So that's the tidal wetlands between our property and...
Yeah, it's called, it's Scott Cove, where Scott Cove ends and begins is that, but that's what we call that. And that's all coastal resource tidally influenced.
Thank you.
So to talk about now the proposal, so we have the background set. And I've got, this is the first page of the site civil engineering set. We've got a road profile at the top. We've got the plan view of the road at the bottom. Those two drawings are at different scales, so don't try to compare between the two of them. The bottom is a smaller scale and the top is a larger scale. But ultimately, there's a couple things that we have to do with this driveway. Let me call that up on here. So there are actually portions of the existing driveway that extend onto the neighboring properties here and here. So that's property the town does not own. And so a part of this is getting the existing driveway off of the neighboring property. And then, in addition to that, we want to provide room for a 5-foot wide sidewalk and a grass strip between the sidewalk and the curb. So that west edge of the road is probably moving, 10 feet at most. And then we're trying to provide, again, a minimum width for two-way traffic, and that's shown in the gray, that 22-foot wide road. If we were doing a subdivision road compliant with the subdivision standards, it would be 26 feet wide. Typical drive aisle in Darien is 24 feet wide, but a driveway suitable for two-way flow per your regulations is 22 feet wide. It's also about the same width as the paved roads at Waveney, just in terms of scale and familiarity with something. So that's the new driveway, starting at Rings End Road, ending at the cul-de-sac. The curbs that exist on the edge of the existing driveway are going to be salvaged to the extent possible and reused to edge the new driveway. So there'll be a 4-inch stone curb on either edge of this driveway. The sidewalk is going to be on the south side. If we look back at this, Rings End Road, all the way from the post road down to the bridge, is an asphalt sidewalk on the west side of the road. It's concrete over the bridge, but we were going to extend the asphalt into this driveway from here to here. We have to be cognizant of having a maintainable, hard surface suitable for both strolling and rolling. So back to the plan. So a few things have to happen to make this driveway and this sidewalk. One, we're kind of pushing things to the east a little bit. And in order not to disturb more property to that east side, we are proposing a few retaining walls, 3 to be exact, to make up the grade differences between where the new road is going to be and the existing grade along that eastern property boundary. So the first wall that you see here is holding up earth on this side. So the high side is the neighbor side, the low side is the driveway side. You will see the face of that wall. And then these two walls are the opposite. The high side is the street side, the low side is the eastern boundary. So the wall face is viewable from the east. All you will see from the road side is potentially a parapet. We have two ideas for protecting traffic and any vehicles that might decide to depart from the roadway surface. We're either going to go with a 2-foot parapet on these stone walls or install a wooden guide rail at those locations, again, for traffic protection. It's necessary given the grades and the heights involved. Um, In addition, of course, and Matt will talk to this in more detail, but this is too narrow to get to a 22-foot driveway here. So these gates have to be reconfigured. This pillar is on town property, but the town property boundary is right basically just off the edge of that pillar. So these pillars and these gates here are not owned by the town, they are owned by the neighbor. So consequently, we're leaving them all alone and not touching them. The new sidewalk comes in here and the new road comes in here. So we're proposing to reconfigure this side of the gates and piers. The intent is to reuse everything that is reusable and refurbish it as we go, so that we're kind of moving pier for pier, depending on construction technique. So that
Just say that one more time, the piers on the right are not being touched?
the piers on the right, as you look at this photo, are not being touched. This is Google Street View.
Yep.
So the first 3 piers on the left will be moved around.
So the sidewalk's gonna start to the left of the
Yes, sidewalk's gonna
first
be right
pier
here.
on the right.
That's correct.
Okay.
And we can see that in this lower left-hand corner. Here's that same kind of street view of the proposal. So this pier stays where it is, as does everything to its right. There is the new sidewalk. There is the new road. So this design was actually created with comment from ARB during the ARB meeting. They liked the kind of secret garden feel of this, like you were going somewhere special when you get through those gates. So we're adding, relocating this minor pillar to fit between the sidewalk and the curb here. And relocating this minor pillar to be symmetrical with that one. And then the major pillar, which is somewhere around here, is being relocated over to that side, again, to be symmetrical with this one. So this is kind of, will be the new look when everything gets reconfigured. So that was the gates, that was the road, that was the walls, that was the sidewalk. I guess I could talk a little bit about.
Do you have elevations of the 3 walls?
No, we don't have like a profile view of 3 walls. We have a grading plan that, between the road profile and the grades, right? We have plenty of grades on here. We do have top of wall and bottom of wall elevations indicated. And one of Time Bond's comments was, add the top parapet elevations, which we've done in these notes right here.
Greg, before you go too much further, when
Yeah.
you use the term gates, you don't actually mean an operable gate, you're meaning.
Correct, thank you for clarifying.
Got
So it's largely, most of it is just fencing,
Yes,
right?
okay.
And there are existing gates when you look at it. I've never seen them closed. So who knows if they even move, but we're not proposing to add gates. We would not, the town cannot provide a gated control here, because very specifically, parcel 6, 7, and 8, which are neighboring properties, all have access rights to this strip of land. This is not a street right-of-way, it's not it's not a street right-of-way. It is just a piece of property owned by the town that can function as a driveway. But these 3 properties have rights to here, so we can't close this off. If there was ever a need to restrict access to Great Island, that would be done
Down
somewhere
there.
over here.
Okay.
Yeah. So we do have a suggestion of kind of, again, reusing the gate pieces, but just putting them kind of to the back of the pillar, more as an aesthetic feature and to accentuate that, kind of secret garden feel as you're driving through it. But they would not be movable. So it's worth pointing out, now I'm talking about those neighboring properties, that we are making provision for driveway entrances should those properties ever be developed. So we're dropping the curb and dropping the sidewalk at a couple of locations to allow for that access to be created in the future.
Have those points been decided yet fully? I mean, we don't even have houses decided on this.
So we're coordinating with that property owner on the location of those driveways, and we've taken direction from them as to where they might want them. I agree with your assessment. Whether we do it now or later, I think is on the table, but for now, we wanted to share the fact that we might have 2 curb cuts there for future use, and we're coordinating with the neighbor to do that.
So just one curb cut for each of those 2 lots?
That is correct.
Even though the one lot, it's a flag lot that touches, that's, is
Yes.
that Rings End Road?
So the legal frontage for, say, parcel 7 is on the street of
Correct.
Pear Tree Point Road, and the legal frontage of parcel 8 is technically on Great Island Road. But, you know, they have rights to use this property. And-
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I remember that came up last, and that's why we moved the cul-de-sac way back when.
Yeah.
At what point will the old road be removed from?
Well, that goes along to when we get our approvals and when we got a contractor on board, but we're trying to do the work in May, June, July.
But at the end of construction, I'm just thinking about access with both existing was my thing.
Oh, so there is the way this is going to be built, again, because we're moving this roadway over,
Right,
we're intending to leave the driveway in place
right.
and build all the stuff on the east side first. And then once the east side is done, we can have traffic on that and start working on the west side. So there will always be, you know, within reason, there will always be the ability to traffic on that driveway.
It's the same way they do I-95.
Any trench in the road, you do it the same
Exactly.
way.
You do the left side of I-95 going south, and you do the right side.
Unless you could do it all in one weekend, we'll close the road down for you.
And no major horse events happening during that foreseeable construction site that would
Yeah, I
that
mean-
would damage the asphalt prematurely with their large trailers.
Yeah, obviously, Ed's gonna have to work with
Yeah.
the folks that
Okay.
need to access the island, and I'm sure he'll be able to do that. But it's a good point. Also on the road, we've indicated a few paver accent strips. And those are coincident with the light pole locations, largely.
It might be easier if you do the landscaping plan.
Yeah, well, maybe Matt will talk about those when he gets up. I'll mention it quickly now and then let him fill in the details when he's talking about those and the lighting plan. I can jump over to stormwater. Okay, so actually this is a helpful start up here. So this is a helpful profile to show you which way the water runs, right? So there's a peak in the driveway about here, and all that water flows out towards Pear Tree Point Road. Right now it ends up in the gutter, and there's some catch basins down here and a pipe that dumps out into the Darien River. In the middle section, there's a low point, and there's some catch basins existing here that are going to be fully replaced, and a discharge pipe that flows in this direction. I'll show you that on the plans. And then this last section of driveway flows down towards the cul-de-sac. There are catch basins in the cul-de-sac that outlet towards this tidal wetland down in the corner over here. So basically, we're fully replacing all the drainage structures except for the outfalls, having to do with the roads. So there'll be new full-size catch basins with full sumps and hoods, and then we're also adding infiltration systems on each of those 3 outfalls, because we do have an increase in impervious coverage. You know, we're going from 17 feet now to 22 feet later, plus the 5-foot sidewalk. That's all taken into account in our hardscape calculations, and that's how we size the proposed infiltration system features. Those are located, again, here you see 2 new catch basins at the front, an infiltration system in the edge of the right-of-way here, and then an overflow into the existing system. Similarly, new catch basins in the hollow here, an infiltration system to treat the water there, and an attempt to reuse an existing outfall there. If we have trouble reusing that existing outfall, we have an alternate plan just to put a level spreader on our property for that overflow. And then we have an existing catch basin over here, but a new infiltration system there, tying in again to existing stormwater controls here. So that is done, so the rain running off paved surface the first flush of rain is caught in that infiltration system. We've done soil testing out there. We know groundwater is low enough and ledge is low enough, and we know the perk rate is high enough to accept the water and treat the water quality volume before discharge into coastal resources. We did get a number of comments from Ty and Bond. We have responded to those comments. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I will go over the few that resulted in updates to the plans that we submitted earlier today. Parapet elevations were clarified. I mentioned that already. We modified the elevations of area drain 1 and catch basin 3. So the way this infiltration system works is that this first area drain functions as the overflow, and this catch basin then collects the water overflowing and takes it down to the discharge point. So these were just lowered to be lower than the road, so water will just get from point A to point B without getting into the road. Joe asked for a double, Joe Canis, the peer reviewer, asked for a double row of silt vents, which is the 7th erosion control plan, on the edge of the road where it's near to Scott Cove. He asked for a construction entrance to be indicated, those riprap pads to prevent tracking on area roads. And he did have a good catch. We specified a 6-inch tall catch basin top, but we only have 4-inch tall curves, so we updated the drawings to specify a 4-inch tall catch basin top. So those are his comments that ended up providing the plans, but overall he agreed that this is not going to change flood elevations or flood action in any way, and therefore is compliant with Section 820 of your regulations. So in terms of cut and fills, since we're also here for a land filling and regrading application, we have a, let's see, where is it? A net. We have the walls, which we've talked about. We have a net import of 50 cubic yards of fill. This is pretty low because basically we're matching existing grades. We talked about where we have to cut a little by this wall. The height of that wall is really height of no walls are really taller than 4.5 feet. That's the highest retained elevation. And then similarly, we have a little fill against this wall, a little fill against this wall. Again, no more than 4 feet. 4.5 feet will be the height of those walls. The walls, again, we reviewed the design of the walls with ARB and showed them options of walls that were around the island, but basically it's going to be an orthogonally cut New England granite with an expressed beaded joint, which matches, basically most of the stonework on the island, not all of the stonework on the island, most of the stonework for the island follows that same orthogonally cut pattern, both in architecture and in form. When you get over to the east side of the island, which is the old Mediterranean style mansion, it's more of a just kind of angular situation. It's not really orthogonal, but certainly the walls that edge the roads tend to be orthogonally cut. So they've preferred the version with no cap, and that's what's indicated on the detail now.
Right, so if you're looking at the document you put in, I counted you had 3 reports. The zoning application narrative, we went through that whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last piece was cut and fill.
Yep.
The first time you did was the coastal area management, went through all that, right?
Yep.
That's the first
Talked
thing
about
we did.
well, so I can touch base that just quickly. So I've identified the coastal resources, which I showed you. We went through the coastal policies that are set out by the Coastal Area Management Act, and basically there are no impacts to any of those coastal policies. And that's the summary of the report. That's provided for your record. Also provided in your record is a traffic report from Hardesty and Hanover, which found basically that area intersections will continue to operate at existing levels of service. We are proposing a new stop sign and stop bar at the end of the road here, and There will be some directional signage added, again, to the island. There'll be a stop bar and stop sign here. Again, in the near term, the idea is to establish a one-way loop on the island, so you would go in the walled causeway and you would come out the earth causeway. Again, that's just set up so we don't have to do any disturbance on the island at this point, and we can wait for that master plan process to take shape before deciding how to alter the infrastructure on the island. Those would be kind of custom signage to kind of fit a park-like scale. Talked about drainage, talked about coastal. There were some comments from the fire marshal that we responded to. He wanted.
That's just a deep letter that says,
Yeah, that they basically.
should you do your letter?
It was pretty much a no comment.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, this is from the office, or the Department of Land and Water Resources with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. It's their review of the application, and basically, didn't find that there would be any impact on coastal resources.
And that matches up with this, right?
Yeah, matches up with that. So Bob wanted to make sure, the fire marshal wanted to make sure that he would still be able to have emergency access over Great Island Road. That is within the town's rights to have emergency access in the island from Great Island Road should it become necessary. He asked about whether or not we want to use parcel 23A to loop water mains. We don't have to, because there's already a water main coming in from Great Island Road into the island here, and a water main on Ziggy's Way coming into the island there. So if we needed to create a loop, we could do so on the island. And then it's important to note for the record that we will not, town will not allow parking on this new driveway, as you might imagine, but we might have a couple of signs to that effect to make sure everybody else understands that. I think maybe I'll have Matt come up, run through the landscape and lighting plans, and then we'll get to your questions.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
Before you step
Yeah.
can you just point out the crosswalk also?
Oh, sure,
That's new?
yeah. So as I mentioned, the sidewalk coming down Rings End Road is on the west side, and it stays on the west side as it goes over the bridge. But right now, the sidewalk ends right here. You can see those two gray lines. That's the end of the existing sidewalk. So we're picking up there. We're putting in a crosswalk to get across the road to the island, an accessible ramp here, and we're bringing the sidewalk up and around. This portion in the right-of-way and before the gates will be concrete. Portion after the gates will be, the piers will be asphalt. And we're pulling the stop bar and stop sign back to accommodate the new sidewalk. Thank
Can you just show us that again in the Google Maps Street View that you have?
Sure, yeah, that's a good idea. So,
There you go.
yeah, so basically, there's the existing sidewalk. We'll have a crosswalk coming right across, basically where that seam is to here. The stop bar will get pulled back a little bit, and a stop sign get pulled back a bit as well. And then this new sidewalk will pick up here and go up and into the property.
Do we need local traffic authority permission to put that stripe in the road, or is the local traffic authority sitting right there?
I think Ed has started coordinating with Don Anderson, so he's aware of this project, and they'll just coordinate the details in terms of, there's really no changes to the road. You have an existing stop sign, you're just moving it a few feet, moving the stop bar a few feet, so that is not going to be an issue here.
So that's
Yeah.
your staff that does that, I'm sorry, Ed, right? It's your staff that does that.
Yes. Yeah, any change to the position of a traffic sign or traffic striping, they have to bless.
The local traffic authority blesses
Yeah.
it, and then Public Works puts it in.
Yes, that's correct.
Got it.
Any striping in the cul-de-sac, the turnaround?
No.
Welcome, Matt, just state your name and
Good evening, Matthew Pop, Landscape Architect, Environmental Land Solutions, Professional Wetland Scientist also. I prepared the landscaping plan that you see right here. Just go over, again, maybe start at the bottom here, the section here with the pillars. There are, the property line, again, here's the primary pillar, which is about 8 feet, maybe 8.5 feet. There's some secondary pillars right here, which are maybe about 6.5 feet in height or so, not as wide. So the property line is right here. So this is the existing pillar right here, which we're not going to touch. The existing sidewalk kind of wraps around through here. So again, that kind of gets abandoned, and the new sidewalk gets placed just to the left of this existing pillar that's going to be maintained. The pillars that were over here, the smaller pillars get relocated. So there's one here, there's another one over here. So they kind of frame the entryway. And then the existing larger pillar, which was right here, gets pushed over to here. The vegetation on the pillars comes off, so we can see them. We're thinking that there'll probably be, on the larger pillar, some type of plaque or something like that, so we won't have any sign, a freestanding sign, out here in front. Zoom in. So we're thinking at the entrance, so again, here's the larger pillars are on the outside, the smaller pillars are inside, the sidewalk kind of goes between the larger pillar and the smaller pillar. We'll have some type of pavement, of pavers right here that line up with the pillars. The gates, existing gates there, get placed on the, the existing gates will get placed on the back side of the smaller pillars here. They'll be fixed. Right now I think they're fixed. I don't think they actually move. And you can kind of see the pavers here lined up with the kind of with the edge of the gate and with the edge of the sidewalk going across.
So is that similar to the pavers that you have inside Darien Commons now? Did you do that plan? When you go over the pavers between the two apartment buildings?
So it's on these, well, we haven't decided yet, but
Right, but that's
we
a
just want it to
concept.
be somewhat smooth so you could, person biking over it and then doesn't fall. I'm concerned about plowing and paving. So it'd be
There's
some,
such beautiful cobblestones that line the existing driveway that really make it very aesthetically pleasing and special. Can't we reuse those cobblestones instead of those pavers?
We're not, so we're not proposing to use the cobblestones within the surface of the driveway. We are going to salvage them, and we are looking into ways to
You
reuse
see
them.
cobblestone aprons all the time. Why wouldn't we consider that in this application? It seems so appropriate.
I think you see Belgian block aprons frequently.
yeah. Like if you're a
Cobblestones as
biker,
well.
but if you're biking, I don't think that's safe to be on it. There were some people who were concerned about the oak trees I had, the acorns falling on the pavement and running over those for biking. So, like when you walk on it, it's, when you're not walking on those, the cobblestones, you're kind of walking down the asphalt.
But they'll be flush with the road, right?
But
That's
you
the-
have presumably a sidewalk there,
The
which
si-
would not have cobblestones on it.
That's correct.
Yeah, sidewalk, yes.
This is just for the, anybody who's been to Nantucket, when you drive over those cobblestones, you slow down.
And in Manhattan too. I bet you a nickel that you don't have enough cobblestones to do all the humps.
I bet you, they line both sides of that driveway all the way down. You have more than enough.
All I can say is that the application as presented is not proposing to use the
Okay.
cobblestones in the driveway.
Understood. Okay.
But we are,
We talked about it, yes.
it is something that is continually being discussed to figure out a way to salvage them and kind of at least pay an homage to that unique.
And all of those
gutter.
antique granite, liners that run
The curbs we're
alongside
gonna
the curbs,
reuse,
yes.
and we're gonna have the
those-
curbs.
Okay,
Yep.
because you cannot vet those anymore.
You can't, which is why we're salvaging them and reusing
Got
them.
it. Okay.
So luckily, there's an existing curb, there's 2 rows of curbing here, and there's a row of curbing here.
Mhm.
So if we can't salvage all of it,
There'll be enough.
hopefully
Yeah.
there's enough, so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
There's the gates, they're fixed. Okay.
Okay, so that's the entrance. Now let's go.
But that's not gonna be a hump though, that's gonna be level the whole road.
That's
Flush, yeah.
It's a visual cue and
But not
a
a
slight
physical
audio
loop,
cue.
right.
Yeah,
So when they're plowing it, they're not gonna rip them up
that's correct.
like my snowplow did on my driveway last week.
There you go. You hear his concern.
All right, Craig, where's your erosion control plan?
There you go.
There we go. There's 16 trees that are coming out. They're mainly all Norway spruce. There's kind of two groupings of them. There's a tight grouping right here, and then there's a kind of a looser grouping up through here. You can kind of see some from back through here. So those are to be removed. Again, there's 16 of them. We're proposing 12 shade trees, mainly oaks, swamp white oaks, tupelo, there's a magnolia. The ARB wanted to have a large growing tree, so they want a London plane tree. So originally we didn't have those, so we added 6 of those into here. And they actually, the original plan had more shade trees than the plan before you, but they wanted it to be more open feeling. So some of those trees were removed. In addition, we're planting 13 evergreen trees, again, actually 18 evergreen trees, 5 hollies, and the rest spruce. And then, let me get to my plan. But then all of the plantings are up on the top on this side of the road. Right through here. This house over here has views to the coastal waters through here. So the plantings over here are somewhat lower because we don't want to block the views. The evergreens kind of start through here, mainly in this area right here. This homeowner here was concerned about headlights from cars leaving here, hitting her house.
Sorry, there's something wrong. Please try again.
Didn't like your answer.
They didn't like the lights going in.
He doesn't like the lights, he doesn't like the headlights.
Yeah, so she did say like
That's AI.
every once in a while, there's a police car that goes down there patrolling at night, and she said like at 2 o'clock in the morning, there's a light that hits her house, so that's why those are here. But they also wanted to keep views, open, of course, to the meadow across the street. We are proposing 3, kind of, I wouldn't call them humps, but paver bands. I get the one at the entrance.
4 now.
4, that's right, yeah.
3, those have been updated.
Where's the fourth?
So if you look at the paper over here,
Yeah.
there's 1 at the entrance, and then there's 1, 2, 3. So this one is
Oh, I'm
effectively,
sorry, I was still looking up there.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, you could say,
I can go back to, all the way up to the top. Yeah, that down a little bit.
So they had shifted aims.
Yeah, this one's still in the same spot,
uh-huh,
this one's still in the same spot, but we're adding 2 here.
okay,
So
Instead of
originally we
1
had
here.
one kind of at the high point of the road, the crest.
okay.
We did get some comments from the neighbors, thinking that maybe that if it's at the high point, you can't really see it as well. So we pushed them to here and here. They kind of lined up also with the property lines here
It's a great idea.
and here.
Thanks to the neighbor.
Mhm.
So we also proposing a few light poles. They're probably like 8 feet in height, residential scale. They are also going to be where the paver bands are located.
What, do we need lanterns?
We're thinking, one over here, kind of at the curve. We originally had one at the high point, but then we had the 2 extra ones.
There's 4, 1, 2, or 5, rather. 1,
Yeah.
well, the 2 uplights here, no lamp. 1 lamp here, 2 lamps there, 3rd one here, and the 4th one at the end. And the idea is simply not to light up the road, but to provide a visual cue for drivers so they could sense where the road is going. just enough light to do that. You can show the,
So because you put in another quote-unquote paver, did you add another light post?
no, we just moved the same amount around.
Okay.
And you couldn't accomplish that with a lower light, not a high light, like a Ballard?
Well,
Ballard light,
your regs allow up to 15 feet in height, we're going with something around 8. So it's gotta be enough to throw a splash of light on that 22 feet, 22-foot width. So if you start to go down, you gotta point it kind of sideways. So we're still trying to cast the light down.
Which begs the question, are we envisioning this park being, I know we're not supposed to talk about the uses, but like if you drive through Blue Evening, there's no lights throughout their parks. I'm curious why we feel we need them.
I don't think there's a preponderance of lights, but I think there are select
I drove it the other
locations.
day, there's no lights in their drives except around the parking.
What are you talking about at
Waving.
Yeah.
We think it's a good idea for safety. I think that's all we can say.
I think Raven actually added lights and cameras, because,
At the entrance,
yeah,
at the entrance it does,
yeah.
but not through the rest of the drive. Okay.
But let's look at the cutaway of the lights first.
So this is an existing light fixture on the site, so we're gonna try to match something similar to that. I think there's only maybe one of these on the site, but that was kind of what the ARB liked. There's all different fixtures at this scale, so that was kind of the intent we were heading towards.
You didn't spec it out yet?
I have to find something that's kind of LED, downward pointing, but it's gonna be that scale.
That was the guidance ARB gave us, find inspiration in that light.
Okay. I actually think it's kind of.
And then where you get residential skilled lighting, the foot candle plants, you might not get one because usually they don't have them for residential fixtures, or they're tough to get. They're usually, if they're 12 feet or kind of taller, you get them.
When do we envision them going off?
It's a good question. We haven't talked about timing.
No.
I guess we'd have to,
I would
figure that
say
out.
coordinated with operational
Yeah.
hours,
yeah.
give or take a buffer.
Put that there.
And so if you can just go back to that landscape plan and give us pretty much where we are right now.
Well, yeah, I would say, yeah, that plan is good. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4.
Also on the pillar, we were gonna have 2 small uplights just to light the pillar.
Pretty.
So, I think, that was it. There's a utility box that kind of over here, right back here. I'm gonna try to screen that out. We have a number of shrubs, inkberry, bayberry. There's some semi-evergreen viburnums, or actually evergreen viburnums and the sheep laurel. Cherry laurel. There's existing woods are basically back through here.
Three.
This is gone up.
No, it's not, okay.
And they're shown on SE1, the site plan.
The new, yeah, okay, that's the new one that came today.
Yes, correct.
I didn't make sense.
So,
That one's up there.
Yeah, that's it. So any more questions from the board, or whenever you're ready, you go to the public?
Okay, well, hold on one second. With regard to this thick traffic report,
Yes, sir.
he's not here, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you want to just, I know you touched on it a little, you just want to walk us through it a little bit? You can kind of read it, you're a good engineer.
Well, they
It
figured,
looks like he started from way back out, too.
they did a very thorough job with this initial traffic report. They studied the intersections up at Rings End Road and the Post Road, and they studied the intersection down at Rings End and the site driveway. So those were and they studied the intersection over at the end of Goodwives Road where it hits Old Kings Highway South. They assumed a certain, effectively passive, relatively passive use of the island, which would generate up to 26 to 38 vehicle trips on weekday afternoons or Saturday midday peak hours, and those numbers were increased by 25% just to put a kind of factor of safety on it.
When he talks about the midday peak, it says hours. Then later it talks about it just 1 hour. It's 1 hour peak in the morning and 1 hour peak in the afternoon, right?
They try to hone in on the time at which there is typically the most traffic and analyze the intersections at those times. So although you might have rush hour that now lasts for 2 or 3 hours, they're going to hone on the busiest 1 hour of that to do their traffic analysis.
Right, and that, I think they gave it to us here. I think it's 11:45 to something.
That will be Saturday.
Based on that traffic study, has there been a thought on how we are going to manage? And I know there's going to be growing pains. I can totally appreciate you have to provide the driveway, to provide access that's safe, to program the island or provide parking down the road. But in the interim, say that that's a year or two, or I have no idea, where do we envision, what will be our guidelines and zoning around cars that want to go frequent the island? Where are they going to park?
I think the programming will have to respond to the current limitations of available parking and current infrastructure, right? So
as a local traffic authority, has there been discussions about what parameters are going to be on the roadways around the entry?
There have not been none.
Do you anticipate doing
But
that?
you have to just come back for, I'm sorry, Ed.
Sure.
But to go back for a second, I don't know if I'm going back, is the traffic study, the way I read it, was based upon a no-build situation where it has a 100-car parking lot there. That's parking for 100 cars. That parking lot for 100 cars does not exist today. There's no parking lot there.
Then there's
there's scattered driveways.
Scattered driveways.
Right, but and maybe you can help me, because I read it, but if, for argument's sake, say there's 20 cars, 20 parking spaces there now, are they talking about adding another 80 to be a total of 100, or there's 20 there now? And they're
I think
adding-
that's what the traffic report assumes.
Just assumes 100.
Yes, that's what the traffic report assumes.
Okay, so it sounds like it's being added, okay. So that's the intensity that you're gonna have there on the peak.
And
Right.
again, it's a chicken and an egg. I can
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Right.
I can appreciate that, but I'm sure we're gonna hear from people that are gonna ask this very question. So
Right, but
I'm just asking it early.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
road's as wide as you can feasibly make it, you can't make it 23 feet wide.
Oh, I understand that, and I'm
Yeah.
not proposing that.
Right.
I'm not proposing that. I'm just saying, what are our local guidelines around the rules of the road, so to speak, during the growing pains? That's all.
And also I was thinking about ADA accessibility for signage and also access, once you're off the new portion of the road in that period, until the rest of the plan is completed. And the normal ones are-
Yeah, you'd have to provide, if you're providing public access, you're gonna have to provide a location on site for folks to park, to go along with
ADA parking.
it. ADA parking.
But we're not, we're just focused on the driveway now, we're trying to keep it focused. But the reason why I want to make sure we talk about it is the traffic report is related to the driveway, and there's traffic at the beginning and there's traffic at the end, so we're going over crosses. Just to reiterate, the peak hours in the report is 4:45 to 5:45 PM on weekday afternoons, and then Saturday midday at 11:45 to 12:45, so that's what this whole thing is based on.
Yep.
Which is when goes to the beach Saturday afternoon.
They also did, if you'll see in there, they did traffic counts for 2 weeks
Yeah.
on Rings End Road. One during the particular event for the bus trips around the island. So there was increased traffic across Rings End Road down to Pear Tree where everyone had parked. So we picked that specifically as quote-unquote an event, if you will, or it would be maybe representative during the summer when people go to the beaches. We wanted to make sure that we got a higher number so they could evaluate those three intersections properly.
Okay, stay there for a second. The report references the town planner, that they spoke to the town planner, I'm guessing that's you, right?
Right, when Greg undertook the study, as any traffic study does, they always call the town planner. Are there any new developments in the area, anything I should be aware of, things that have been approved, not yet constructed, properties that are under construction that could affect the traffic volume. So, as with any traffic study, I always talk to, or Fred sometimes,
Right.
prior to give them a little background on the area if they're not familiar with the area, or things they may not know are in the hopper coming down the line.
Okay, so relative to things that are in the hopper, it's, I think it's stalled at the present point in time in life, which is the renovation of Pear Tree Point Beach. So if that ever does get renovated, I gotta believe they're not adding any more parking to it because there's no more place to park cars.
Right.
So if they did renovate that, the intensity of that use would probably either go down a little bit, go up a little bit, or pretty much stay the same.
Right,
that
there's
a fair
certainly
statement?
Pear Tree Point Beach. I think I talked to him about the subdivision of the former Pear Tree Point School, one lot into four. It's kind of different, certainly, whether
It's
there
already
may be
gone.
more traffic, less traffic. Look at that, we talked about the potential adjacent Ziegler subdivision, that there's building lots that have been out there, and typical residential type redevelopment up and down Rings End Road, Goodwives River Road, houses going into other houses, house expansions, but really from that point, that area of town, there's no big new businesses going in or anything like that.
The most intense use in that data is the Darien Boat Club and Weed Pete and Pear Tree Point Beach, and that's not changing. Right, they may renovate and put in a new cabana or something like that, but they're not.
There may be more sunny days where people go to the beach more, or it might be
so.
like it's been the past month where it rains every day.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
So that, when he talked about, there's nothing there, but that,
Right, I gave Greg the necessary background, and he's familiar with Darien to know, and I'm sure he went on site to look around and
right,
understand how these roads work in the area.
right, and Ziegler Farm gets developed and they put houses there, it's got, what, 14 lots? That's 14 houses, I think they rebuilt 14 houses in the last 2 years on Pear Tree.
I'm on that.
I'm only 20. And some of they, like, for example, Zangrillos, they knocked down one house and put in 3. So they-
1 to 2, and there's house additions going on at 244 Long Neck, 227 Long Neck, 158 Long Neck, up and down the road, there's house additions and alterations.
Okay. So the bottom line, if someone just, I guess, I just want to get to the final, as a result of the analysis, indicate there'll be no significant impacts to roadways, traffic that will use the roads from and to the site. The analysis indicates that signalized intersection of Rings End Road and Rings End Road will continue to operate at the same levels. During both peak hours, the island is open to the public, and this is dawn to dusk, right? Which one is dawn to dusk?
Correct.
Okay, so that's the all-way stop controlled intersection, Rings End Road and driveway, Goodwives River Road, appear will continue to operate at the same levels during both peak hours. That's an all-way intersection, right? I mean,
That's correct.
all 4 stopways?
Correct.
Okay, that'll operate at the same levels. A stop sign and proposed bar, proposed site driveway to the intersection, what's that about? A stop sign and stop bar is proposed at the site's driveway to approach the intersection. Do you have an exit stop sign?
Yeah, that's right here.
So that's a new
That-
stop sign?
Yeah, new stop sign right there, there's not one there today.
Okay. Future discussion, which will appropriately control vehicles exiting the Great Island property. The end. Okay. Anything I missed inside this thing?
I think that's pretty good.
Okay. So we did, and you basically had 3 pieces of the application, right? Or Redis and me did. The drainage report, the zoning narrative, and then the CAM report. Those are your 3. We talked about all those.
Yep.
Matt Pop did lighting. Okay, let's open up to the commissioners. Does anybody have any questions for any of these three experts, and I'm gonna include Ed as an expert.
I've asked mine.
Go ahead, George.
I did, I just wanted to ask Craig to follow up. There was a quick comment you made about the road becoming a loop.
Oh, sure.
I didn't remember that there was anything to the east of that factors into this.
Yeah, so once you get to the cul-de-sac, right, there's two ways onto the island. Those driveways are also, 16 to 18 foot wide in general, and so not suitable to support two-way flow. So the idea is, again, in the near term, until bigger decisions are made, to establish a one-way loop using the existing driveways on the island. So you would go in again along the stone causeway, the walls, and you would loop in this direction, and you go out on the tree-lined causeway on the north side.
Oh, I see.
And there'd be some signage and striping to provide those cues.
Thank you.
Okay. In the cul-de-sac that's there, is there a feature in the middle of it that you do drive around? I haven't been out there.
There is,
Maybe
yes.
the arrow can show
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
there's an island.
So there, you go around that thing, okay.
Yep.
And then the Great Island Road, which is to the left, is being closed.
That's correct. That's privately owned, and there will not be general public access in Great Island Road. We'll only have the ability to use it for emergency services and for utility runs.
And at this part of this application, we're not doing anything permanent to shut that down?
The town is not.
Okay. And then, so you're doing, the bottom leg of the cul-de-sac, that's where you're going into the island?
Yeah, so you
Yep.
come out here, in there, out here, up there.
So the cars actually never cross each other?
That's correct.
Everyone that's coming in stays to the right, and you always stay to the right?
Yep, exactly.
Are we gonna move the mailboxes in the cul-de-sac as part of this? They're right there.
Right now, you still have
We-
the need to get mail to
But,
some
but
folks.
that's on town property.
That is on town property, that's
Right,
correct.
so eventually, if I assume there'll be some temporary, like the white fence that's there now that blocks Great Island Road.
Yeah,
So at some point they'll
there
have
will
to,
be likely something here
yeah.
that obstructs public entrance into that.
But we still have
Probably sooner than later.
I guess, yeah, those are for the people inside of that.
Yeah, we still, I think.
Yeah, these are-
As long as you have leases.
These are for
people
these- the
living
folks
there,
on the
you have to
island.
have mailboxes there.
Because the mail truck would stop here and wouldn't go onto the island and deliver mail on the island.
Okay.
Didn't we just create a couple of driveway entrances on Great Island Road too?
Yeah, there will be two.
No, I mean,
George is talking near the cul-de-sac.
yeah, near the cul-de-sac.
Oh
So you're
yeah,
gonna have
this
to-
lot line was slightly revised along with this purchase. We didn't create.
It slid down.
Yeah, it slid down a little
So
bit.
I guess my question, will those neighbors have to use Great Island or have the ability to use Great Island Road?
So we can't put a
The
gate on.
three that have the ability to use the driveway are these 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But the other,
Yeah,
yeah, those two have dual access. One's a flag lot, and one's coming off the Great Island Road that got moved.
Yeah, and can't be, where is Ziggy's Lane? Does that connect to Great Island?
it's down here somewhere.
No,
Oh,
it's
no,
separate.
okay. Okay.
It's separate.
Fine.
There was one other item before we moved on down the road.
I have a question.
I think, so you're good, George?
Yep.
Adam?
Just one, on the stop sign exiting, the new exit out onto, either straight onto Rings End Road or onto Goodwives. I don't see it on the landscape plan, so can you
Oh,
just,
yeah.
like where the gate is and the relocated gate, like where is it gonna be? Is it gonna be past it, before it? Just how's that gonna look? Yeah.
Landscape architects don't love stop signs, they love the engineers.
Yeah, that goes to
Yeah.
SC1, these SC1.
Just so we have an idea, there's
Yeah,
the
here
gate. Is it gonna be behind the gate hidden? Is it
Yeah,
gonna be
I'll
past
show
the gate?
Right here, I'll show you, these are the piers.
Yeah,
So then you come down here, this is where the stop sign is gonna be, this is where the stop bar is gonna be.
okay, so it'll be
That's
past
on the
that.
other side.
Got it. Okay, cool.
All right. Do was something else that was telling my head. We got you, we got the traffic report, we got all of you. Are we missing anybody else to represent this? I think Mrs. McNally is here. Would you like to speak to this application since you're the chairman of the Great Island Commission, aren't you?
Sure.
Please, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Monica McNally. I'm a little bit late tonight because I'm on the Board of Selectmen and we are in budget talks. I'm also chair of the Great Island Committee, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to review this. This has been a project that's been ongoing since we first started considering this property for about 2 years. And the application in front of you today is to widen the road to provide safer access to our residents and our, especially pedestrians right now. It has full support of the Great Island Advisory Committee. We have some members here tonight. Thank you for joining us and for all of your hard work on that. And thank you for your consideration.
Fantastic. Does anybody else from the committee want to speak to you now? You good?
I think we're good.
Okay. Great. Anything we're missing? I want to open up to the public. Fantastic. We got a couple letters in the mail today, some long ones, some short ones. Would anybody in the general public to speak to this application? Please come forth. I think you represent the neighbor.
Yeah, Ziegler Farm.
Welcome. Is it Leonard or Leo?
You can call me Lenny.
Lenny. All right, Lenny, welcome.
Thank you very much.
How's Joe Pankowski doing?
He's great. He sends his regards.
Tell Joe I said hi. Just
And,
state your name and your affiliation for the record, and we have your letter here, which I think is like 4 pages or something.
Yes, and if I may, thanks, Ed. And if I may distribute hard copies of our annotated plan that was attached to our comments. I apologize, I have a large size and you may have by 11, but I think I have
And who submitted the easement? Was that these guys or?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So we got like 5 copies of this or something?
I should have 6 large size and then the rest 8.5.
It's the same thing twice, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the exact same thing.
In case anybody gets kind of.
I can take the extras though.
So you just give us plans, right?
Yes.
And then we gotta give one to, I'll give you mine when we're done.
Lenny, this has been, what was submitted by email earlier today.
Correct.
Is in the record, been uploaded, and we have a hard copy.
Okay. I
Yes.
see. Yeah, that's,
Yes,
I got
I
that
do.
thinking something else. Oh, that was the other thing I was thinking. Somebody sent in a letter with a fence from Kentucky.
That was me.
That was you.
Thanks. All right, well, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, staff, and applicant. My name is Leonard Brayman. Lenny, I'm with the law firm of Wapsie Rose, Kweskin, and Kuryansky, and we represent Zero LNPR LLC, the new owner of Ziegler Farm, which I'll call the farm owner. As you know, Ziegler Farm abuts directly the driveway parcel in question that we're talking about tonight, through lots, what are called lots 6, 7, and 8. Those 3 residential parcels right along the driveway, one of which, lot 6, which is the closest to Goodwives River Road, has a home on it and an occupant. The other 2, parcels 7 and 8, don't currently have dwellings. So I submitted written comments this morning, as you know, on the application. And I'm not here to repeat those written comments, but rather to highlight certain points and provide a little more color. As you know, the farm owner is generally in support of the town's proposal for the entry drive. We have not yet retained an engineer, and the town's plans obviously have been evolving, including today, so we may well have further comments for this commission if the record remains open, or for, of course, for DPW in the future. Such as on drainage. But the few points that I wanted to address tonight are as follows. First of all, we submitted to the applicant last week, and we're appreciative that they incorporated some of our suggestions from this plan that you have before you, the annotated plan, in which we proposed a couple of things. to better accommodate lots 6, 7, and 8. One of which you heard from Mr. Flaherty was the addition of curb cuts for lots 7 and 8, and those, I'm pleased to say, will be incorporated into the design that's necessary to allow for the potential development of those lots. According to the approved subdivision, obviously, from the 1980s, in addition to having frontage, which they've now been secured on either Great Island Road or Goodwives River Road, lots 6, 7, and 8 do derive access onto that driveway parcel. They do have the right to have that access, so that's now ensured. In connection with that, we also proposed moving the pavers, and that was incorporated as well by the applicant into their latest plan, I think, of today. We do have an additional suggestion for public safety, which is that the pavers, rather than being simply rumble strips, be actually raised a little bit and be more in the nature of speed humps for greater traffic calming. I understand the concern about bicyclists and the nature of the use of this driveway obviously is going to require accommodating a lot of different interests, but we think that the rumble strips could be raised slightly into speed humps, and that may create an additional benefit of traffic calming for motorists. Obviously, you have this hill as you go up the driveway, and there can be visibility issues. So the more the safety, traffic safety, the better. And obviously, you heard about lighting that was shifted slightly to accommodate the changed location of the now rumble strips. In terms of aesthetics, Mr. Flaherty and Mr. Pop spoke about ARB's recommendation that granite stone caps not be used on a wall, on the walls on the east side of the driveway. I think from our perspective, the stone caps are elegant, beautiful, historic, and we would prefer that those be used. But if there's going to be fencing, then that's why we submitted an example of a fence that we would be willing to coordinate with the town. So if there's going to be a fence on essentially the town side of the driveway, we would be willing to potentially coordinate the aesthetics of a fence on the lot 6, 7, and 8 side as well. In terms of trees, so you heard a little bit about the existing trees, that some of which will be, and many of which will be removed. New trees obviously are going to be planted. There are 16 large trees that are going to be removed in order to make way for the town's driveway. We noticed that there's 5 large Norway spruce trees on our property that we want to ensure are preserved to the greatest extent possible. I noticed that in the town's plan number SE4, there's a detail that describes fencing around our trees, particularly around the drip line, that would protect those trees during the construction of the driveway. But we would ask that in addition there be some pruning or some extra tree care around those trees so that they not be damaged. These are elegant, beautiful, historic trees that should be preserved. In terms of the sidewalk, you heard about the proposal to pave the sidewalk with asphalt, and that there's a symmetry there between the Rings End Road, but our preference for the present and future residents of the residential lots here would be a concrete sidewalk. Obviously, concrete sidewalks are safe, durable, negotiable by pedestrians, and I understand the argument for an asphalt sidewalk, but we think that a concrete sidewalk would be more appropriate here. So that's why we made that point. And speaking of sidewalks, you see on our plan, we annotated a configuration of the sidewalk that we thought could be a good a good approach for, not only for the public, but for the private property owners, right? So if you look at, I guess, the southeast of our plan here, we have a transition where the sidewalk on the south side of the drive would go directly toward Great Island, thereby directing pedestrians more accurately toward the town property, the public use, rather than potentially having them go astray and end up either crossing the cul-de-sac to get to Great Island, or heading south toward the private property, mistakenly thinking that that's the entrance to Great Island. Now, Mr. Gentile noted in a response to me that that's something that could be considered for the next phase of development of Great Island. I think whatever phase it's considered in, there should be consideration given to a transition where the public are not going to be confused as to the difference between the public and the private areas, because they're obviously in such close proximity here. The last point regarding drainage, as I said, we haven't yet retained a civil engineer, but just in looking at the plans, you have an increase in impervious surface, you have a very large change in grade, you have a potential for stormwater runoff. We thought it might be prudent to add an additional catch basin sort of halfway up the hill as you're entering the driveway from Goodwives River Road, to have an additional catch basin just to capture additional stormwater runoff that might be coming down that hill. So that's a suggestion that we made, and I think that's basically the comments that the farm owner had on this very positive step for the town, and we hope to have a good working relationship with the town as neighbors in the future.
Great, thank you very much, sir. I know you worked hard on this for the last, I'm going to say 6 months.
Thank you very much.
Okay, would anybody else like to speak to this application?
I would.
Welcome. Just give me your name and your affiliation, maybe your address.
My name is Alexis Sweet, and I live in the Salem Straits neighborhood on Beverly Place.
So that's the piece that's across the road.
Yes. So,
Across the water.
I think that's me there.
Got it.
Oops, sorry.
That's all right. You're
It is sensitive. Look at that. Okay, so I just have a couple of comments that I've been thinking about, and it's maybe a little bit bigger picture in the sense that I just want to ask the question, sort of, what's the purpose of widening this driveway now? I think from the meetings I've listened to and the research that I've done, two things come up. One is it's a desire to get two-way vehicular access to the island to help expedite residential access, and the other is emergency vehicle access. The second one is sort of easier to address because as it's come out, there are easements now with agreements to the emergency services being able to use Great Island Road and Ziggy's Way. So if you left the driveway as it is for now, certainly for pedestrian use, you've got access, other ways to get your emergency vehicles in there if you need to, if that horse trail happens to be backing up at the wrong time. For widening it for future use, you may need to at some point, but we don't have a master plan right now about what this island is going to be. And this is zoned as a residential area. So I'm just wondering what the rush is to do this project, to spend $600,000 or whatever it's budgeted to cost, when we don't know what we're driving to. There's no parking, there are no bathrooms, there's no plans for what you can do there. There is information about what you can't do. You can't go off the paved paths because there's arsenic fields, there's wetlands, there's tidal wetlands, there's an eagle's nest, there's all sorts of stuff. So until we have sort of a more comprehensive vision of what we're doing, I don't see the purpose of this first phase being done now. I think, when the town does their work with whoever it is, that management consultant team that goes around and asks the town members, what is it you want, what are you looking for? you could very well get an answer that says, we want it to be pedestrian and bike only. We don't want vehicular access, or we want to run a shuttle bus from Weed or something like that, like they do for the Glass House in New Canaan. We don't have those answers yet, and so I'm just wondering about the rush to do this project now without knowing the backside of it. And I will note that tonight, also at 7 o'clock across town, the Board of Education is in a big meeting about big budget cuts and problems that they're having. So sort of to sit here and be like, oh, we're gonna have this $600,000 great sidewalk or driveway when they are cutting the mental health department seems a little bit tough to me, anyway. That's all I have on that front. Couple of just technical things which may be absolutely just easy, simple things. It is zoned residential, so in advance of the soft opening, do you need a special permit for use requiring a special permit? I think there's something in the section under 404 about social, cultural, recreation uses. I'm wondering if that maybe applies to this when you open it up for soft access, pedestrian access. And I have other questions about soft opening in terms of the parking plan and wildlife management plan and other things, but that doesn't really permit, really attached to this.
Great, thank you.
Oh, sorry, one more.
Yeah,
In one of the comments that was submitted today or yesterday from Ty and Bond, they've referenced two questions about potential easement needs for this project. One is about the fact that the existing clay pipe exits onto private property, so I don't know, is that going to 152? I think it may be there, back there I can't see the map well enough.
Okay.
So I have a question about that. And then there's another note that they say that there's grading that encroaches onto property at 3 Long Neck Point, and that would need an easement to construct. I don't know where that is on the map. Those 2 points piqued my interest.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I think, Greg, you touched on those already, didn't you?
Yeah, I can do a response at the end.
Okay, fantastic. Would anybody else like to speak to this application? Deb Yarrow is in the
How are
house. Welcome.
I just had a very quick question.
Please, come on up, Deb. What's your address, Deb?
148 Goodwives River Road, which is the house next to 152, which abuts.
Great, welcome.
So my name is Deb Yarrow, and I live at 148 Goodwives River Road. I just had a quick question about, has anyone given any thought to the extra stress on Rings End Bridge from all the construction, and I don't know who even owns the bridge. I heard it was like a 99-year lease, so I just wanted to find out if any consideration has gone into that beautiful bridge.
So you're talking about the construction trucks going over it?
Yeah,
Okay,
and the additional, cars and traffic and stress on that bridge.
Okay, the traffic aspect of the number of cars has been addressed in the traffic report.
I found this on the web.
Yeah.
Well, the answer's on the web, I guess.
But who is
Greg will answer that.
responsible for the condition of that bridge and?
Yeah, we'll answer at the end.
Great, thanks, Deb. Anybody else have questions on this one? Welcome, please, come on up. Just state your name and address line for the record.
It's Christopher Dvadia, 152. It's actually this property here abutting the
Welcome.
parcel we're speaking to. First question is related to the lighting again, returning to the same concept of Waveney doesn't have lighting. This particular road has probably existed for 100 years without lighting. It seems sort of an arbitrary safety concern. I'm not sure I quite understand it. And living here, I can tell you that this is a very wild, bucolic, natural zone. And I would have concern that the lighting in that context, adding the thought that there seems to be no current plans for park use after dark. So why would the lighting be required in that context?
Okay, so they would propose 5 lights on the road, is that right, Craig?
The uplights at the piers, and then 4 lights down the road.
Okay, yep, that's what we talked about. I mean, what they said earlier was safety, really.
But it seems sort of a
At
a
this
loose
point-
concept,
yeah,
and
at this
there's
point-
no demonstrated need.
Yeah, it's a dawn to dusk park, yeah.
Exactly, so that, you don't see the definition for that lighting requirement.
Thank you. Very good answer.
And with the same thought, we were speaking to the sidewalks. I know there's a proposal for concrete, existing as asphalt, but if we go back to the example of Waveney, there's no paved sidewalks. They tend to be, gravel, macadam, some sort of soft surface, help with drainage and change some of the drainage calculations. Why would that walkway have to be paved in any way? The softer surface is better for running and recreational activities. Again, going back to the thought, this is a very natural area. When we ever want to go to concrete or asphalt, when there are alternatives that don't require it. And going back to the use of the park hasn't been defined, you're building for the future, why does that have to be part of the proposal today?
Okay,
So those are my thoughts.
great, thank you, sir. Okay, would anybody else like to speak to this application?
I think I'd like to say one thing, and
Please,
I'd like
welcome,
to
sir.
speak from here.
Are you able to come to the podium?
Susan and I live at 146 Goodwives.
Hold on, can
The
you
name
pick
is
up?
Wayne David.
I can hear it, yep.
Okay, great, welcome, sir.
I'm sorry, you can hear me, I'm sure.
Yes, we can, and the
Yeah.
TV camera's got you.
Were other access plans considered, and is this the least intrusive plan?
Other access plans? on
I mean,
this?
there is a 2-lane road along there, I'm just, already.
You can address that?
What drove the planners to pick this way to enter? That's all I'm asking.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna let these guys speak, but the short answer, that's the only access that me personally, I can get on the island today. The other 2 roads, Ziggy Way and Great Island Road, are private. So it's only a public road to get in.
So this is the only way?
Correct. Okay. And you got his name? to the-
Yeah, yes, Wayne Bodden, 146 Goodwives River Road.
Fantastic, thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to speak to this application? Please, come on up. You're young, you gotta come to the podium. We like to see you sit down.
So I actually just have a follow-up question to that one. My name's John Prinz, I live at 150 Goodwives River Road, with this nice, front property abutting the proposed access road.
Yep.
I'm just curious, to the point my neighbor just made there, was the roundabout also a privately owned property recently and it was acquired by the town?
Yeah.
Were there other points of access that had been explored as far as, acquiring some of these other means of accessing the island, or?
I mean, do you know of any other access on the island?
Yeah, to the road that goes out, I don't know the name of it, but the one that you can access through Long Neck there?
Well, that's, you can point to it, it says Great
Yeah,
Island.
Great
Road.
Island Road, excuse me,
Yeah, that's a private road, right? The town owns the parcel that's outlined in blue.
So the private road that is connected to the private roundabout that the town acquired, I was just curious if they had explored, or if you all explored the prospect of Great Island Road or another means of accessing the island.
I can't answer.
Understood.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak to this application?
Might as well have all the neighbors come up.
Well, welcome.
Left out. So, Alan Anderson, 33 Beverly Place.
Hold on 1 second, sir, wait till you get to the podium and get you on TV. There you go.
Cool. Alan Anderson, 33 Beverly Place. I'm here at the point, so I think we've covered almost all of the ones that are around here. We were wondering why, also as Alexa said, why do you need to widen it now, first of all? If you want to have a 2-way access, I come from Evensneck in Long Island, And we have quite a few roads that are very narrow, but have to support two-way traffic. And so what they do is they put a little bit of a, sort of an indent, where people can go in and they can stand there and wait until another car comes by, and then you can go in and out. There's not that much traffic right now, we can see it. So instead of spending $600,000, or however much it is, and doing this, it kind of seems like it's talking heads, like road to nowhere. So to me, it would make sense if we want to have two-way traffic there, which I understand why. Why not just do it in a simple way? We leave all the trees as they are, they're beautiful, right? We don't need more woods. So do that one, just a thought. Maybe a little bit cheaper.
Just for the record, we're the Planning and Zoning Commission. It doesn't matter to me if you pay $1 to put in a road, or you pay $8 million to put in a road. That's not our purview. If anybody else wants to talk about money, that's a different department. We don't have a budget. That's what I like P&Z. We have no budget. It's not our money.
We consider other plans.
We also have no control over what the town purchases or doesn't purchase. So if the town purchases a roundabout, it's beyond our control.
Right. There's a piece that's gonna come up later tonight that we talk about if it conforms to the town plan of conservation development, but that's a different issue.
And we also don't see versions and pick one. It's, so the applicant comes to us with an application, and that's all we're allowed to evaluate.
No, I mean, we adjust them.
Well, yeah, but we don't get to pick 7 different versions and say we
Right.
like version 4.
Right.
It's A or B.
That's what Jeremy does.
Or A or B does that.
Yeah. There's another part, please, come on up.
Oh, go ahead.
We got time, we're not going anywhere. We'd like to hear from everybody tonight if possible.
Hi, Susan Tremaine, and I'm at 146 Goodwives. And I
Want to
can
point
walk
to your
there.
house too? Where are you?
We are,
I see 140, 152.
we are right here, the
If
really
you touch
old
it, it
one.
turns blue.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
no, I wish that was me, that's not me. We're right there.
I like this, Jeremy.
One of the things that I've been worried about, I know that you're planning this road to go in right now, and as you've said, there's no parking right now. And I'm wondering, even though it's perhaps not your bailiwick, where are those cars gonna go between now and the time that everything gets developed? Right now, when we have the, 3 or 4 days a year when the skating rink comes along, Goodwives River Road goes down to, if you're lucky, 1 lane of driving, and emergency vehicles, ambulances, people walking. It's really dangerous, and it's also invasive to property owners, and maybe we could suck that up for a few days of skating, but not so much if people feel like their taxpayer dollars are letting them go in there and they can just park anywhere they want. I think that's really something to consider before this is done and with the whole plan not being done. It's kind of like ready, fire, aim. Right?
I mean, I'm gonna try to answer part of your question.
Thanks.
It's, we're looking at the reviews of the road. They may put in this road and may not even open the park up to public access. Because we're just focused on this piece now. That's a whole separate item.
What a shame.
Please, come on out. No, I just got an Instagram that said go skating at the Corpus Pond. That's very
Well,
nice.
like a sports show, first time, long time.
Your
So
name, dear?
I am
Your-
Sarah Marchand. I live at 18 Beverly Place, which is,
Welcome.
thank you, which is here. So two questions. First is, you were mentioning something about the stop sign coming out from Rings End, and it sounded as if it was going to be set a bit further back, and I'm wondering if people making the left off of Long Neck are going to be able to see those people that are coming off of the bridge? Because it would appear as if, I mean, now the bridge, as I understood it, the way that you talked about it, was that it would be set back a bit and those people would be blocked, the people coming from Long Neck, their site would be impeded by the actual bridge. So that's just my first question.
Okay.
And then my second question is, if this is going to be a sunrise to sunset type of thing, if there's no actual gate to close the park like there sort of is at Weed Beach, what happens after dark? Because residents do need to get in and out. How is that going to ultimately be managed?
Okay, thank you. You want me to mention the stuff right now, or are you gonna take it?
I'll take it.
Fantastic. Anybody else have questions for this application? No? All right. That's it? That's it. And then whatever Ed wants to jump into, Ed's in charge of roads and sidewalks and bridges.
Bridge at home. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
And just remember, this is not a use application, this is just a construction application.
So first were the comments from the Westerly Neighbors Zero LNP LLC. We have enjoyed constructive dialogue with them so far. We have provided plans to you that have addressed several of their concerns already in the location of the rumble strips, the location of the lights, the location of the driveway entrances. Those are kind of the limit of the plans we are proposing to change now. The applicant is not looking to install speed humps on the road or stone caps on the walls. The one fence that was mentioned that the town is, there's guide rails in front of the walls, and those details still need to be worked out, and then there's a fence indicated along this property boundary, so we felt it was more appropriate to coordinate with that neighbor on the aesthetic of that fence.
Relative to the guide rails, are those similar to the guide rails that are over at the high school? You want to go to the high school?
I mean, they're going to be wooden beam guide rails, large timber.
That's the same on the Loop Road in high school?
Concept, yep.
Okay.
We will add additional tree protection indications to our sediment erosion control plan to, I think, here's one of the trees, for instance, on the neighboring property. There's one on the neighboring property, there's another one on the neighboring property.
Can we ask Matt Copp as your landscape architect on your team to babysit those?
You gonna, can you sleep in the trees? No, I mean, I think there's sufficient room to put fencing up at the back of the sidewalk, but we can certainly review conditions in the field as construction starts.
Okay, so as a
Condition.
condition of approval, we'll put that in there, okay? Thank you.
And again, the addition of sidewalks to the cul-de-sac, we think is a future phase. You know, the whole cul-de-sac is town property and there are viewpoints around it. But at this point, you know, how that might look in the future is undecided. And we did look at, we had two engineers look at whether or not additional catch basins were needed in the front half of the road, halfway up the hill, and both feel that two at the bottom, meaning Ed and I, feel the bottom of the road is satisfactory.
And Joe Canis, it would be a third.
You're right, it would be a third.
Yeah.
It was not one of Joe Canis's comments. On big picture, the applicant is here tonight proposing a new 22-foot driveway and a 5-foot sidewalk. That's the basic objective of the applicant. So looking at sections of your code that are relevant: coastal area management, section 810, flood damage prevention, section 820, landfilling, excavation, and earth removal, section 850, S&E control, section 870, stormwater management, section 880, and your site plan sections. You have to decide whether or not that application meets your regulations. I believe we submitted the data reports and analysis that would typically lead to a conclusion that it is consistent with your regulations. As far as a couple of easements mentioned in Joe's letter, the first one was, again, a little bit of grading we have to do on the west edge of the road, and that is, again, to pull the existing driveway off the neighboring property. And then obviously we've got to put topsoil and seed back in that location. We've been coordinating with our neighbor and sharing plans, and they're very well aware of the work that needs to be done.
So that easement's taken care of?
I mean, I don't know that there needs to be an easement. There might be an appropriate exchange of certificate of insurance and a right to enter to do that narrow work, but we'll coordinate with our neighbor to make sure everybody's satisfied.
So that's conditional approval. Okay.
The other one is the clay pipe. I would say the clay pipe's been there for as long as the driveway has been there, and so therefore there's an easement of use from that clay, the water discharging from that clay pipe. If for whatever reason, whether it's the condition of it or there's a property issue, we can't reuse it, we've indicated an alternative where we don't have to. So the application works either way, I guess is my point.
So you could abandon that pipe if you need to?
If we needed to. We prefer to use it, that's because it's there and it's been there for 100 years. But
where is, can you just point it out again?
Yeah, it's shown best probably on the utility plan, right there.
And it goes out to the wetlands?
Yeah, it's, this is the edge of Scott Cove here.
Okay. So now you're not going to touch the pipe?
No, we very much want to use the pipe. We're not replacing it. Well, again, we're going to clean it out, we're going to see what condition it's in, then we're going to decide what we need to do.
Okay. That's right.
I can talk more to Rings End Bridge, but Rings End Bridge is suitable to take any traffic loading that any road in town takes. The town maintains the bridge. The town recently rebuilt the bridge 8 years ago, a little longer than that. But it's rated to take the same amount of traffic as any road or bridge in town. So in terms of the material of the sidewalks, this property is a little unique in that there are some moderate slopes, the 8% slope up and the 8% slope down. So using a loose material, that material is going to migrate, and it's not going to maintain a stable, safe surface that is usable to the point where the Director of Public Works is not worried about liability.
So you're talking about crushed stone, right?
Yeah, whatever. So we looked at the Waveney detail when we did Highland Park.
Right.
And yeah, so we put in 50 or 100 feet of that detail, compacted it down, and we tried it with a wheelchair, and it did not work. And that's why we chose not to do it at Highland Farm. That's why we're choosing not to do it here. Here it's exacerbated by the steep slope, which would mean that I wouldn't recommend it.
Have you considered oil and stone?
Well, that's,
For the aesthetic
once you put
of
the
it?
tar in there with the oil and stone, it's effectively impervious, and it's not as smooth. It's harder to maintain.
But just for the questions about the aesthetic.
Yeah, again, in our opinion, asphalt is ubiquitous in residential zones all over town. It's that choice of surface.
So if for argument's sake, if you did do it's not called item 4, it's crushed stone, that's like the path.
It's like a chip stone, a combination of stone dust and chip stone compacted down.
So that's what's at the high school running path, right?
Probably, yes,
Pretty
something
much?
similar, yeah.
And when that washes out, it
Yeah.
disappears and they gotta rebuild it.
That's right.
Okay, and we have the same condition there where it's
Steep.
steep slopes, okay.
That's correct.
So that's why you picked the asphalt, got it.
Craig?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned we looked at impervious asphalt too.
Yeah, so in terms of just on the drainage side, porous asphalt or permeable pavers, those pavements, again, aren't recommended for steeper slopes because they have less tensile strength than conventional asphalts, and so they tend to pull apart over time when you try to put them on slopes over 5%.
Okay.
There were a couple of questions, just big picture on.
Is the sidewalk designed for ADA wheelchairs?
So in the sense that it's on the edge of a road, and we're paralleling the road, yes. If it's not less than 5%, which would be fully accessible, because again, the steepness of the road. But, you know, you don't have to put ramps in on the edge of the road when you're putting sidewalks in. So otherwise, we have a ramp at the beginning, a ramp at the end, we have a hard, stable surface. Nuanced answer, given its location. So the town does not own Ziggy's Way. It is a private road. Mr. Raymond can talk to it. I don't think it's for sale. And Great Island Road, the town does not own, and it is a private road. The only way in to the island is Parcel 23A. That is the only property owned fee simple by the town of Darien. And it took a year and a half to get to this application because we were negotiating the purchase of that cul-de-sac to make sure that access was unfettered.
Want to talk about lighting one more time?
What was that?
Talk about lighting one more time?
Yeah, again, look, we went super minimalist on this thing. This is not about achieving a consistent level of light all along it. We still believe in, we still think it is a good idea, given the length and narrowness of the driveway, to provide these visual cues. Look, in winter, it does get dark early. There's currently people that have the ability to be on the island after dusk. So we still think it's a good idea, and it's a part of the application that was proposed. And, you know, I'm guessing that all of the neighboring properties have exterior lights that are on from time to time. And I don't think these are at all going to be out of character with a residential level of light, either just for the enjoyment of area residents or for impacts to coastal resources. Stop sign, question on the stop sign.
Hold on 1 second on
Yeah.
that. Do we care what time they turn on or turn off? I mean, I live right next to home school. I drive home at 10 o'clock at night, the lights in all the parking lots are on. I mean, do we care about the lights when these things turn on and turn off?
Well,
It's
I
not
think-
BMW, it's not H&L Chevrolet.
Right, I think the issue here as well is there are currently people that live on the island. I think there's a smattering of folks who now live there. The stable is operating there as well. So there are people who live there that come and
And there are
go.
people that have, need to get there when it's not light up.
The future owners.
They don't have lights now, though. Right, they don't have lights now.
The stop sign, I mean, the easy answer is, if I
Or just zoom in on that,
Yeah,
yeah.
there is,
Just show where it is again.
yeah, so here's the stop, yeah, here's the new stop bar. There is the stop bar on Rings End Road. This is the wall, this double line way out here, so you can see there is clear line of sight between a car stopped here and a car stopped here. There's
I
no
think
issue.
the neighbor was talking about the one that's being on Great Island, yeah, that one.
Oh, this one, yeah. So we'll,
Yeah. Show where the pillars are.
these are the pillars.
Yep.
And this is the stop sign and stop bar. We can look at the location of these with the local traffic authority before they go in, make sure the local traffic authority is satisfied with their location.
Great. And then Ed, you can, if you have to, you can move it, right?
Yeah, I did a sightline analysis while I was out there the other day to see, but Long
Can
Neck
everybody
Point
hear
actually,
Ed? Can you pick him up?
Long Neck actually curves away from the wall, so you have sightline all the way down to the intersection of Pear Tree and Long Neck.
Okay. Because your department puts in stop signs, puts in stop bars, puts in crosswalks.
Correct.
That's what you have the truck that says painting and striping.
We don't have a truck called painting and striping, but
Do you have a white truck that says that?
no, just a paint machine and a system to put in signs.
And what was it, the police department had it, and they moved it across the parking lot.
As we discussed earlier in the application, you know, we cannot provide a gate control here because we have to maintain access to these properties that are not owned by the town. So any gate control in the future would have to be down at the edge of the cul-de-sac if appropriate. But that's not a part of this application at this time.
And then With regards to that one little sidewalk piece, the one Ziegler, I didn't know what he was asking.
I think they were suggesting that we should install a sidewalk along this edge of the cul-de-sac to get from where the proposed end is to one of the driveways, so that the public wasn't encouraged to walk up this way, but I believe they are going to propose gates here, so I don't think the public's going to be walking up there anyway, and we want to leave open the possibility to put sidewalks anywhere in here, depending on what this wants to look like in the future.
But that's not part of this application?
Not part of this, we're not proposing to add that sidewalk at this point.
Okay.
I think that was all the points that I heard.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commission?
Anything else from you? Anything else from you? You're good, you're good, you're good?
There was the discussion about where everybody parks
Yeah, the construction work.
Yes.
in the interim.
Oh, the construction parking, or?
No, I think one of the neighbors
Oh.
said where are people, and that might not be a question for
Yeah.
you, Craig, it'll be a question for our town officials to
Yeah.
determine what the rules of the road will be.
I mean, that's, because we're not changing the use of it, you know, they can put in the road and never open up the park.
Yep.
Right?
I understand.
And keep it closed. But for the, I mean, in terms of process, you gotta build a road before you put in the park. You're not gonna
And the
put
other
parking
question
lot
that we
over.
need to understand is, do we need a special permit for pedestrian use on a residential lot? I don't know the answer to that. I think we do, but,
You don't need a special permit for people to walk on Reed Beach, do you?
Reed Beach isn't zone residential, is it?
Yes, it is. So, almost every park and golf course and town-owned properties on residential.
thank you. I was just trying to think of any other questions that were brought up.
Okay. Good, good, good.
Public?
Would anybody else in the public like to speak this at all? We good?
I do have one more thing.
You have another bite at the apple, come on.
Oh, I didn't see, well, it's easy. I didn't see the comments from Deep. I did look on the filing, so that, you said that basically they said nothing, but I hadn't seen the actual one. It wasn't in the system. So I.
You got this in the spot.
And my other question was just about the soil survey that was done with this. Is it possible to see that map that had your nice blue line with the thingy-mabob? So, just remind me, so this.
The cyan line is the flood zone.
Cyan, the lighter or the darker?
The lighter blue is the flood zone.
Okay.
And then the dark blue in that area that's not like a straight bound is the edge of Scott Cove, the mean high water line.
So this being a flood zone could have wetland soils in this area?
Well, I'll answer that. Is that your question?
Well, yes, because the soil maps that were submitted with the EPC planning don't show what soils were found in that area.
Okay.
But I still want to look at this.
Hold that close. Jeremy, give me another one, she can keep it.
I'll just one-on-one. Okay, so we submitted this letter for the record today from Jay Fain.
Yep.
Jay Fain was the soil scientist that did the original mapping on the town properties. He notes in his letter, I'll paraphrase, that the flags depicted on the survey accurately reflect the position of the flags that he placed in the field. He did not prepare a sketch to go with the soils report because he was working hand in hand concurrently with our surveyors that were on site at the same time. So there was no need to create the sketch map to communicate. They were doing it real time in the field. But in so much as it was necessary, he has confirmed that our survey accurately depicts the position of flags that he placed. He also commented on this edge here in a second paragraph, talking about the edge of the boundary of parcel 23A where it abuts Scott Cove. Scott Cove is an intertidal mudflat which represents a tidal resource. There is not a tidal wetland fringe in this location. So where you would, the only area of boundary is that the mean high water line is elevation 3.7. That's an average of high tides. You might have an annual high tide as high as in the upper fives, right? So where the water goes up to in Scott Cove does change, but when you establish coastal resources, flood zones are coastal resources, and that's indicated. The coastal jurisdiction line is indicated on the survey, and the mean high water line is indicated on the survey. So we've shared all that information with you. We've told you there's a coastal resource there. That's what we need to do for you to consider the application.
So am I thinking too deep into, could the water go up and over the wall if we had it flooded or something like that? Is that what you know?
No, well, no, so it's largely gonna be waterward of the wall, except down at this end. So if you had a coastal flood to elevation 14, the cul-de-sac would be inundated.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think we got everybody there, right? I think we got everybody there, we got everybody there. You're the applicant, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're all set?
Sure.
Applicant gets the last shot, okay? Any question, all the questions can answer?
Do you want to see if this neighbor has a question on the report?
No. I got it.
You good? Good.
Two things. One, where are the construction vehicles gonna park? Assuming cul-de-sac, somewhere north, obviously they're not parking.
Well, there might be locations on the island where they can park temporarily.
Then hours of operation, you're fine weekdays, normal hours, no Sunday?
Yeah, just whatever the normal kind
usual
of sound
stuff
ordinance regulations are.
Perfect.
You did Middlesex Road on a Sunday this summer, didn't you, in August?
Sounds like you're getting a complaint.
No, it's like August 10th, there was nobody around, it was a ghost town.
I think it was a Saturday.
Was it a Saturday?
Yeah.
All right, but you're allowed to do roads on Sunday.
We are allowed to do certain things, and the number one decision-making, the thing I have to consider is impacts to the residents. That's the first. So as of right now, we don't plan on doing any work on weekends. And if we were to do any work, it would be work that you wouldn't know we were doing.
Right.
Trying to be respectful of the neighborhood.
Okay, cool. All right, I think with that said, I entertain a motion to close the hearing. Adam makes a motion, looking for a second. Mike makes a second, all in favor? Hearing's closed. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to everyone that spoke also. When are we going to review this one or deliberate next week? Oh, really? Okay.
Now we're gonna leave this up for the next application.
You gotta move that table, it's hard to lean over it.
Just don't want to leave
First week of February. That's before your next. Will they close? Yes, they will decide.
Deliberate.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Craig. Good job, Will.
Thank you. Very thorough.
Good night.
Good night.
Good job.
I know. I like the town gets this. Lunch. I know.
Brad, you got
For a driveway application.
Guys.
You don't zip this up, do you?
Guys, if we can move it outside, that'd be great, thank you.
All right, we're gonna get to the next application. Craig's gonna still close up and
Be very quiet.
Gentile's gonna close up. Next item on the agenda is land filling and regrading application number 561 PL 23-185. Eduardo and Vanessa, I want to say Sammame, at 220 Mansfield Avenue. Construction of a pool and patio area on the eastern portion of the property and perform related site development activities, including regrading of the property, installation of stormwater management. The 1.0 plus or minus acre subject property is located on the east side of Mansfield Avenue, approximately 200 feet north of its intersection with Box Hill Lane. It's shown on the Assessor's map number 10 as lot number 53 in the R1 zone. Jeremy, what do we got? Fred, what do we got?
This application was submitted in conformance with section 850 of the Darien zoning regulations under land filling regrading regulations. The application was before the Environmental Protection Commission, or is pending before the Environmental Protection Commission. We expect, actually this one was approved by EPC in December, the beginning of December. The improvements for this project are fully constructed at this time. This is an after-the-fact permit. The applicant brought in roughly 100 cubic yards of material to regrade the property in association with the installation of the new pool and patio. We do have a certification from the engineer that the project will not result in any adverse impacts to drainage or adjoining properties. We have Andy Soumalides here this evening to present the application and answer any questions you may have.
Who's fucked up with it, Bob?
Calvi.
Yeah, he did that once after the fact. He gets paint stuff. Welcome, sir.
Good evening.
Please.
I'm Andy Soumalides, Principal and Professional Engineer with Lantec. This will be quick. So, a permit was issued to construct the pool, patio, in the rear yard with associated drainage. Upon construction of the pool, some extra material was dumped on the east side. North is this way, this is east, towards the Goodwives River. As part of our proposal originally, it was kind of steep coming off the back of this pool, so to have a little bit of more flat and be able to get around the pool, that's what resulted in that grading. We didn't anticipate needing an X and fill permit, honestly. We did realize we need to go before EPC to do or legalize this work, but when it was reviewed by EPC, staff suggested it also needed a grading proposal. So here we are now. Legalized that grading, it's all stabilized, and as a result of this, we had to, as part of our EPC application, add additional plantings in the rear yard to help with additional filtration of stormwater. No drainage patterns were changed as a result of this grading. Everything will still drain to the east towards Goodwives River. So, happy to answer any questions.
So you're allowed to do 6 inches of fill, right?
It's, yeah, it's, as you get away from, in this case, the house or the pool, you're allowed to change the grade no more than 20 cubic yards, no more than 6 inches. Again, we regulate within 15 feet of property lines or more than 25 feet away from the house. So in this case, as Andy said, the permit was specific to the pool. And oftentimes people say, I'm just building a pool with a very small terrace or patio around it. In this case, they've kind of created a flat area behind the pool.
Right.
Right, so you can build a cross goal back there.
No,
Nah,
not really. Not that much.
So I'm just looking at the topo, you're going from,
Yeah, so you see in dark
29
here.
to 30.
Yeah, and here in dark, you can see the 134 hugged the edge of the pool.
Yep.
And in the maroon color, pink color, whatever, you can see where the 134 landed.
Right.
And then sloped down. So the 134 got pushed out about 10 feet, 15 feet.
It goes
and then it
132 to
slopes
131 and then goes to 134.
No, it's 132 to 131.
Yeah, you see all the pink is what's actually existing out there?
Right.
And what was previously approved is in dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those were previously approved, that's.
Right, no, I get that.
It just got pushed out. It's, the elevation's the same, it just got pushed out this way and then sloped down. Before it was just sloping down from the edge of the pool down.
How many yards of material?
Less than 100 cubic yards. And nothing was brought on. Obviously, additional spoils from the pool ended up there. The rest got hauled out. Because there was more spoils from the pool, obviously, than just that.
So is the dirt from the pool hole, you just spread it
Yeah,
out?
it just got spread out a little more. That's all.
So you save some money.
Well,
Any questions for the commission on this one?
You said you've already been in front of EPC?
Yeah, we have their approval.
Yep.
And I don't know if Joe Candace looked at this one, right? Probably not, because we didn't propose any new drainage for this. Drainage was previously approved for the pool?
That's correct. The drainage was approved for the pool as part of the building permit. Joe Canis did not review this application.
It was already installed, so drainage is in and working.
Okay. Jamie, you're good? George, you okay?
Yes.
Mike? Yep. Okay, anybody in the public want to speak to this application? Nope. Motion to close? Amy makes a motion, Jamie makes a second, all in favor? Get back to you. Well, we get to do this tonight? We do this tonight?
I haven't, I'm looking for one.
You got another pool.
And I got my pool contract in the audience.
Next item on the agenda, land filling regrading application number 559 PL 23-186, Thomas and Katherine Meyerer.
Yep.
12 McLaren Road, proposed to construct a new pool and patio area on the eastern portion of the property and perform related site development activities, including regrading of the property, installation of stormwater management. The 0.4 plus or minus acre subject property is located on the east side of McLaren Road, approximately 140 feet south of its intersection with McLaren Road. McLaren Road South, I'm sorry, south of the intersection with McLaren Road, and it's shown as Assessor's map number 17, is lot 34 in the R1 half zone. So this is a it's an approved site since it's below the middle. What do we got?
Yep, so this one also submitted in conformance with section 850 of our regulations under land filling regrading. This one was referred out to Joe Canis of Ty and Bond. He submitted comments in connection with the EPC application that is currently pending, dated December 15th. So the EPC, we expect an EPC decision on this beginning of February 7th, if I'm not mistaken. There's some minor regrading proposed in connection with the installation of the pool and patio area on the eastern and southern property lines, with some retaining walls and landscaping proposed. From what we understand, the cuts and fills aren't to exceed about 2 feet. Again, we have Andy Sumalides here from Land Tech to present the application.
Andy, welcome.
Good evening, Andy Sumalides from Land Tech. This pool's not in yet, so we're looking to put it in. So here's a 15 by 30 pool, patio, obviously an existing single family residence. You have a deck and stairs that get down, so there's some landscape features, some landscape walls and the such to build the pool. What's before you really is we're adding right now it's really like a steep slope boulder type wall here. We are looking to put in a new wall. There's an existing wall along the whole eastern boundary, and there's a wall here on this portion of the property. We're basically looking to formalize that wall and connect these two walls. And what that results in, the maximum grading is really in this corner, which is 2 feet, but generally it's 1 foot within this whole backyard. We have trench drains around the entire patio, which will pick up all the drainage. That drainage then being routed to an underground detention system, which will infiltrate the stormwater. We're reducing storms from up to the 50-year storm, providing the necessary water quality volume, all that good stuff. For construction, they would just continue down the existing driveway with a construction apron to get into the backyard, silt fence, stockpile areas, and such. As part of EPC's comments, we had to add some shrubbery along the eastern boundary there. That shrubbery was to, again, provide additional filtration. On the north side here, you'll see some pretty well vegetated existing, and you'll see in some photos in a little bit, evergreens. We're proposing to add some evergreens also along this south side. And as part of one of your regulations, probably maybe under your purview or not, is when you build a pool within the rear setback, right? So here's your rear setback. If your pool goes beyond that limit, you need to provide some screening. And we've asked staff, and we got some feedback from staff, that we should provide that screening. And we did get a fence approved through EPC. I just wanna, I guess, make a statement here as well. So here are, looking north, so north again, this is where the pool would go, this is those existing evergreens looking up. This is looking south, where we plan to put some additional evergreens here for the screening. This is looking to the east, so this is the backyard. So there's a retaining wall here along the eastern boundary that's, you know, anywhere between 3 to 5 feet tall. And you can see the residences in the distance here. One thing we appealed to staff was there's existing wetlands in between the house, that house on Mansfield, and our property. That's why we had to go before EPC. Part of that 50-foot wetland setback is on our property. And there's a stream that kind of bisects the rear of their property. So our argument was, we really didn't want to cage ourselves in with screening along the rear of the property. There is already a nice backdrop. You can see it here in the summer months, and I haven't showed this to staff, so maybe I can convince them and change their mind. You guys can help me convince them as well. That you can't even see the house in the summer, right, when you're using the pool. So here are these stairs that go down. The pool sits right in this envelope here. And you can't really see the house. And when you're using the house, it's in the summer months, right? So I get it in the winter months, it's a little bit bare. But nobody's out there really swimming in the summer. I think the impetus behind a pool is for the summer months to provide the necessary screening. So I'm appealing to you guys as well as staff for a second look to see if we can eliminate either fence or evergreens along this rear property line, because as you can see back to the site plan, I mean, it is a pretty tight backyard to begin with.
It's a tight, yeah, you're putting a nice pool in a tight area.
Yeah, and as you saw in one of the pictures, they do try and play lacrosse in their backyard. So that's the purpose of really flattening out this area and creating a flatter area rather than a steeper slope. So I don't know, and staff can opine, you guys can opine on that part of the regulation. We're willing to put in evergreens if we have to, but we'd rather not.
Where is where's the pool fence? Doesn't a pool fence have to be 4 feet around the entire pool, or?
We're doing an auto cover. So with the auto cover, with the new building code, it surpasses needing a pool fence.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been told that might get overturned.
Correct, but it's still part of the
I
code.
understand. So, okay, so if it does, you have the ability to then meet code with
the auto cover.
fencing.
Correct.
With fencing, if that.
Oh, if we need to do fencing,
if
yes.
you need to do fencing.
Yeah.
And where would you put the fencing? On the property line?
Yeah, you'd probably, I mean, if we had to do fencing, yeah, you'd put fencing around here and connect, you know, all the way around with gates and
And the
necessary.
abutters have been notified, so presumably the people behind have been notified in the list they.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
You're welcome to notify.
The screening usually cuts both ways, because
You want it too, right?
you don't want to see them, and they don't want to see you.
Right. But I think because we have that big natural resource buffer with the stream and the wetlands, you can't develop back there anyways. You're never going to be building anything back there.
Right.
So I think with that added buffer, then that's why that was our case, I guess, on not needing to do
I've
it.
always thought a pool fence also provided security for kids wandering around and animals. You know, a lot of deer around who might just come in and jump on top of your pool cover, heaven forbid.
I wasn't aware that the pool code, the code changed.
One of the attorneys, because just from a real estate perspective, you know, when I was doing due diligence on a house, it does have an automatic pool cover, but one of the real estate attorneys told me that there's a push to get that peeled. I had no idea where it is, so it was just more of a FYI that, you know, at the state level, there's some grumblings to try to repeal that.
Correct.
It's a safety thing too.
Probably the fence companies.
Not the big fence.
They're loud.
That's all I know, that's all I know.
Jamie, any questions? George?
Nope, I got it.
Okay. Good.
I just want to know if you put the lacrosse players in for Steve.
Yeah, exactly. I knew it was coming, right?
It was coming, I got my jersey up there.
I used to be annoyed, there was a lacrosse player anymore.
All right, so if we don't require the screening, is that a non-condition of approval?
Well, I think that's really, Andy's referring to section 364 of the regulations, and it's really in the final zoning and building permit, if it gets approved by the commission, that's something we would look at as, okay, here's the plan that was, if you do approve it, here's the plan that was approved, does that meet section 364?
Okay. Can you just go back to the picture where it shows the natural buffer, the natural screening?
Yeah.
And that's helpful, submitting those to the record.
Definitely, yep.
So it's, your
It's
point
this.
is that the screening's bare in the winter, which is, say, in my
Right.
backyard, in the summer.
You can't see it.
Okay. So we'll get, that's in, you're gonna put that in the record, or
I'll
it's in
put
the
these,
record
yeah,
now?
I'll submit
Yeah,
these.
that's
Yeah,
great,
that
thank
hasn't
you.
been submitted, yeah, correct.
I'll submit it.
All right, so it's submitted now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any neighbor want to speak to this application?
Can I ask one more question? Can you go back to
The plan?
The version of that I'm looking at doesn't have any plantings along the back. Is that the proposed?
There's one at the bottom, all the way at the bottom.
So, the existing plantings are off the property.
So what are those?
These things here are the shrubs. These are shrubs that EPC wanted, so these are gonna be shrubs that are probably gonna be 3 to 4 feet tall as well.
So are you asking us to overturn EPC?
No, we're gonna put these in.
Okay,
We have to put those in based on EPC's approval.
gotcha.
But what would have to also be added is either a fence or a row of evergreens and,
Gotcha, okay.
yeah.
So what they're doing along that, I'll call that eastern
Eastern
property
boundary.
line,
Great.
there's a number of trees, and if you've been to the site, the trees are not the greatest trees in the world. What type of tree are they that are dropping all those things on it? It's really not, those trees are not gonna work in this. They have to go, and along the southern property line. Those trees are not in great shape, they're not appropriate trees.
They're
So
going.
you're replanting along the south property line.
Correct.
The trees along the east property line will be replaced with shrubs, and the trees along the north property line will be
So
made as
remain.
is.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
What is?
And then, as Andy noted, there are some trees on the bottom of the wall on the neighbor's property
Exactly.
that are growing way
Tall.
above the wall.
Right.
And I think that's what's shown in your photos.
Exactly, exactly.
Now, what's the date of your plan that you're staring at? For C1?
There's two revisions on that.
129?
Okay.
129, 24, right, I don't have that in this plan.
Andy, did you upload that most revised
I
plan
did.
to the application?
I did
So it just
yesterday.
came in
Yesterday, okay.
Hot off the press.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is from,
It's very similar, I think.
The only
Right,
change
but
would be the fence.
EPC stuff.
Is it?
This is from
The
here.
very last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see, yeah.
See?
All right,
It's
cool.
on there.
Should be in version 2.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, that's
So we
right.
gotta,
Perfect, right?
yeah.
All right, XML.
Nice.
Cannot load.
So can we get a motion to close?
I'll make a motion.
Mike makes the motion, looking for a second. Amy got the second, all in favor? You done.
Thank you all.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Thanks, Andy. Just leave the board behind and that way you go. Just leave it.
All right, next up on the agenda, mandatory referral number 1-2024, Board of Selectmen, Great Island. In our packets, we got a memo to Jeremy Ginsburg from Kathleen Bush, the Town Administrator, asking for a mandatory referral. Department of Public Works has been working on a plan to widen the access driveway to Great Island on lot number 23A, as shown on Assessor's map number 58 as lot number 1AA, from Goodwives Road to the recently purchased Great Island turnaround. This provides safe access to and from Great Island for emergency vehicles as well as the public. The plan is to widen the existing 16-foot asphalt pavement to 22 feet wide while preserving the historic stone pillar entrance. Also included in the design will be the appropriate drainage, sufficient lighting, and retaining walls as needed. The design team has provided a landscaping plan with a significant number of native plants and trees to enhance the property. I therefore am requesting a report to the Planning and Zoning Commission pursuant to Connecticut General Statute number 8-24 on the proposed improvements of the property at 0 Great Island Road, lot number 23A. I've included pertinent pages from the 2016 Plan of Conservation Development for your review. Please let me know as we'll have it on here. So Kate Bush is not here, right? Do you want to present this at all?
Sure, I can kind of
Anything else?
explain what I spoke with Kate about. As you may know, Section 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes requires the Planning and Zoning Commission for certain types of activities to issue a report. Those include purchase of property, sale of property, leases of property, and substantial improvements to town property. So when I spoke to Town Administrator Kate Bush, I said, well, in my belief, this is a substantial improvement to that, what Craig Flaherty showed you earlier today, is that lot which extends from Rings End Road all the way to the cul-de-sac. So Kate put together pages from the 2016 Town Plan of Conservation and Development to demonstrate to the Commission why she believed that it is consistent with the town plan. A lot of the recommendations and comments in the town plan having to do with providing enhanced coastal access, additional access to open space, additional public access to the coast, so that she included a number of plans, pages from the town plan related to this improved access. So as I said, Kate's request came in January 18th. The Commission has until, I think that gives us till about February 20th, plus or minus, to issue its report. So we wanted to present it to you tonight, give you the materials, have you give me and Fred feedback, and we can pull together a report reflecting your comments sometime in the next week or two.
Okay, fantastic. Some of the items that are in the town plan, I would try to incorporate those into the resolution, you know, if we approve the widening of the road, because one of the neighbors said, you know, why are they doing this? You know, under managed coastal, maintain and enhance coastal access. That's why, that's the reason why you widen the road. I think what Mrs. Bush put in, the plan, town plan of conservation development is spot on. It's got seek to improve coastal area access for people to the waters of Long Island Sound and associated embayments, that's a fancy word. Promote public use of access to open space, which is this open space, maintain and enhance coastal resources, and then in the document, she also added SE1, which Craig Flaherty went over tonight. This is an older version from the one. Any questions on this one? Okay.
If anyone has feedback, give us a call. If not, we'll try to get something on either next week's agenda or the week after.
Yeah,
Some kind of
so-
report for the Commission.
If you could draft a positive report, that would be fantastic. All right. Next item, deliberation possible decision regarding the following: coastal site plan review number 376A is an Apple, PL 23-189, RRE Holdings LLC at 244 Long Neck Point Road. In your package or on the web, we got a draft resolution. This is the one where Amy Zapatakis is the applicant, so you don't have to leave, you're fine.
Good.
Just
I'll
slide
be back.
and
You won't even see me.
and just chill out. So this is, I think, where Amy's client is putting a 5,000 square foot, 500 square foot addition to the back of the house that kind of faces Long Neck Point on the water. Questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors in this one? Pretty straightforward. These guys did a thorough job. I didn't, no typos jumped off the page on me. Maybe it shows up on yours, since you're looking on the screen, that you got type that get squiggly lines.
Got the right
Codes on it. Codes and everything. With that said or not said, entertain a motion to approve the resolution as drafted. Adam makes a resolution, Amy makes a second, all those in favor?
5-0.
5-0, one abstention. Yeah, but you watch it on TV.
Exactly.
Yeah, you watched it everything. Next item on the agenda, coastal site plan review number 146Ds and David. Flood damage prevention application number 147Ds and David. PL-23-172. DCC Revocable Family Trust at 29 Brush Island Road. This was a gentleman that's adding a dock. There's an existing dock there, and we're making a dock actually longer and getting rid of repair stairs. And our friend John Hillis is here, who's very well versed in doing these. Questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors on this one? This one was kind of simple. They're extending the dock out to get the boats at the end of the dock in the water. Since now it's too tidal. He got all sign-offs from everybody. He's got to get this in a year, or then we can extend it. Any typos, scrivener's errors in this one?
I wasn't here for this one, so.
Okay. So you're gonna abstain, it sounds like.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Looking for a motion to approve as submitted. Adam makes a motion, Amy makes a second, all those in favor? 5 to 0 to 1.
Got it, thank you.
With one abstention. Next item on the agenda. Thanks, John. What is this one?
Right, this is on for deliberation only, 10 Hoyt Court, to get input and feedback from the commission. Fred's trying to, we gave kind of a draft to get you started in terms of thought on 10 Hoyt Court. So while we put it on only for deliberations, Fred kind of laid out some of the thought process to kind of guide you along, but that's why we're here, is to get your input and feedback on this, that we can finalize this for next week or the week after, based on what we hear tonight.
Okay, I'll be reading to record. Deliberations only and following. Land Filling Regrading Application number 557 PL-23-140. Ivan and Adelya, I never can pronounce that last name, Khmelevskoy, at 10 Hoyt Court, proposed to construct additions to the west side of an existing single-family residence, construction of a new driveway with a covered parking area, construction of a deck, patio, and terrace areas, as well as numerous landscape and retaining walls, and perform related site development activities, including the regrading of the property and installation of stormwater management. Hearing closed on January 23rd, 2024. And that, as Jeremy just stated, that they did give us a draft that he kind of worked up. Me personally, I think it's a way over improvement for the street. I don't know how you change it. We didn't really get into the architecture of the house that much. I also don't have I have faith in our review process and Joe Canis's of the world. The engineer that worked on this, which is a delicate site, I did not get a warm and fuzzy feeling. You want to go first, Mike, on this one?
I didn't really have a huge problem with it.
Okay. Adam?
The only thing is that I didn't notice we put in any of the conditions. There's that parking from the neighbor that goes over his property that he's proposing to take a chunk off of and put a fence there on what I'll say in my mind is the western side of the property line. Do we need to, it's his property, right? So he can do whatever he wants with it, but it's obviously a finished parking area there, so he doesn't, I assume there's gotta be, is there anything we do about that to say, you should be mindful when ripping that up, or is it, the other person who illegally built that? I don't know how to handle that. It's the first time we've seen, somebody else's driveway on a different piece of property. They didn't seem to really, that woman spoke in the public hearing. She didn't seem to mind, or maybe she didn't notice, but he's planning on taking off 4 or 5 feet of a corner of that little driveway area. So I'm not sure if we just want to note that or something so that it's in the record, because he's going to come up and rip that off, and she's going to have this weird looking parking area.
At the end of the day, she should take, if she wants to save those Belgian blocks,
she can take them herself.
She can take them out tomorrow.
Yep.
If she gets permission to come on, I
think that's a good thing to figure out how to include something.
Something about that. That's all that, otherwise, it's a big house on a lot, but it's his house.
George?
I worry a little about getting involved in the little driveway. It's a fair point, but I don't know how long it's been used, whether she has an adverse possession claim to it or not. I don't think we ought to be approving of whatever he's doing one way or the other. He didn't ask us to approve it. I don't think it impacts the drainage issue there at all, so I don't know that what we.
He didn't ask us to approve what.
It's on the site plan.
It's on the site
It's on the
plan.
site plan. He's gonna put a fence there. He definitely asked us to approve that.
He's definitely cutting it in half. I mean, that's what I was searching for, was adverse possession.
Right. So, all right, well, I doubt we will be very influential in any argument over that,
Yeah.
so let it be. Okay, I hear you, that makes sense. Other than that, I think the plan is a vast improvement over what they've done, as you said.
Amy?
A couple of things on this one. I know the road, I think the neighbors, the two biggest issues from the neighbors are what's gonna happen to the roadway. And because it's not a town-owned road, we can't impose requirements. That's a question I have for you guys. Since it's not a town-owned road, we don't have any teeth to make requirements on a bond or anything like that for repairs, other than this, I promised to do a road repair agreement.
Right.
It's really on his good faith that and good word that he's going to do right.
Didn't we,
But we can't have a bond.
I thought we had a bond for the guy on, over by me on Delafield Island, all the way at the end. We had him place a bond. We had him place a bond, because those are private roads.
We also did some kind of bond for the guy that built on, it's not Hay Island.
Pratt Island.
Pratt Island, because that's for the guy.
Oh, yes, Pratt,
I
yes.
think that was only on Nearwater Lane.
Yeah, it was on
It's
Nearwater
just the
Lane for the
Nearwater
public
Lane,
park.
you're right, you're right.
And we skipped the association property.
Yeah, I don't know how.
'Cause it was
we did
Pratt.
it at Delafield.
And I don't know the legalities on that, considering it's not a town-owned property, but it's a question I have on
Okay, we
that.
can look into that.
Can you withhold the certificate of occupancy or something like that is the question.
Yeah, it becomes tricky because if he damages someone else's property, do we have the right to withhold the CO? Like, you got, there's a pothole on the road.
That's the only teeth you got.
Right.
But it might come down into the easement rights. Would it come down to the lawyers in the room?
He owns the road though.
Yes, and he was
Yeah.
granting easement rights to the
To
guy
them,
behind.
so he can rent his road up, in theory, and not do anything.
But he can't impede their ability to traverse.
Yeah, that's a civil matter.
Yeah.
That's
Just
not
they-
us.
they
Yeah,
have
it's
a
not
right
us.
by
Okay.
prescription.
Hello with these lawyers.
Oh, I looked at
I looked at the
that.
driveway.
Wasn't
He's
there
got a
one point
couple
three
of
that
them.
doesn't,
No,
neighbors
it's
with the easement
it's
have
like
that
a chunk, but it's gonna
responsibility
make it look
as
weird, you
well,
know, it's a
and
nice
the
two-part
level
parking
of
and all
repair
that.
that
Again, I
it's
kind of
in
agree with
now.
George on that, which
Yeah.
is a rare thing for
What,
you to hear me
one
say.
at a time.
Key number one.
One at a
Let
time,
him do it.
please.
Guys.
All right, hold on. Let's go to
Yeah.
Jamie next before we
Sorry.
get deep.
I
Jamie?
I wasn't here on 123, but I was just making the point with the easement that the neighbors that are using the road that he owns also have a responsibility for maintenance as well. And so it's already in not necessarily a stable condition, right? So what part of that impact is his and what is theirs?
Right. I mean, he bought into it, but he bought into it at a price reflective of the condition of everything that he bought.
It's not in here, we usually leave it not in here.
What, fixing the road?
Anything but the road.
It is in here, under
It is? Where?
finding number 17 on page 3.
Road
Oh,
repair.
road repair agreement. yeah.
Yes, that's why that's what caused me to ask that question, is the reference to the road repair agreement is in there, but I know in other applications we've done, it's gone as far as a bond. The other, I just want to make sure we have the latest landscaping plan, because there was a discussion about adding screening and fencing for various neighbor points. And he wanted to upload one on the fly when we were discussing.
He did upload it on the fly.
And so I just want to make sure, this is for my own edification, that I make sure I review that landscaping plan to make sure the one that's on file is in fact the one that kind of promised everything that he discussed to his neighbors.
Yeah, I did confirm that that is the case.
It is the case,
Yeah.
okay.
So the one he uploaded the file, that's his final file?
Correct.
Because that's when he was talking about negotiating with the neighbor.
We also noted the landscape plan that he submitted for the record was not done by a landscape architect, number one. The vegetation and planting shown on the landscape plan don't necessarily call out the specific vegetation types.
We don't require
It's undated and untitled as well, so.
We don't require landscaping plans for every single house.
No, we don't.
You know, it's definitely nice to have,
Right.
you know.
Landscaping is not required, just given the fact that, or the evidence that was presented during the hearing, that many of the trees and vegetation were cut from the property when it was purchased. You know, we handled this as more of a restorative
But let me ask you this, if they submit a landscaping plan, they have to abide by it.
Yeah.
Right, so they opened up the Pandora's box
As
and
well
put
as
it
the
in.
fencing that they
Yeah.
proposed, yeah, that's on record, that's a part of the record, correct?
Because that's what he said,
Yeah.
he wasn't sure it was gonna be this fence or that fence in the middle of the meeting, and then, you know, as the
Yeah.
meeting was going on, he sort of.
So I
he
just
put
want to
it
make
in.
sure we
If he changes
We
his mind
reference
a
those,
year down
um,
the road, he could put a different fence in. We're just saying for get the CO, he's gotta have the fence on the plan, because he submitted it. But he could change it down the road without a permit.
then that's an enforcement issue, that's a
Yeah.
different bailiwick.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's gotta put
Put
the
in
fence
what he
in that he promised
submitted,
on
yeah.
the landscaping
Yeah.
plan
Now.
to get a CO.
Condition J on page 5, all landscaping shown on the landscape plan shall be planted and maintained in a vigorous growing condition throughout the duration of the use of the site.
This application made me think about, and this is a broader discussion about our regulations, about what is the height change that we can require, or limit somebody to change the height of their property from within, I know we have purview within the 15 feet, but I don't know, maybe we need to look at that discussion, and it was this one and the one off of Camp Avenue, of looking at a scaled wall, the downhill neighbors, which topography is what it is, that didn't change, but I am very sensitive to the people downstream, down the hill, as to their concerns.
He's got a pretty good drainage system plan.
Yeah, I know.
He changed it. No, I mean, I hear you. That was the guy, that was Felipe, who was on the bottom side. The only thing to this guy's credit on this application, his 9-foot wall, if that's the proper height, it's not on the property line.
I get it,
It's
no, I know,
way
that
back.
one, in this particular case, it is well far away, it's nowhere close to the property line. It is nowhere close to the property line, so there's trees and there's sloping and there's some distance, I understand that.
That's a good point. What we usually tell applicants as they're working through this, we've had some in Salem Straits, look, 6 feet walls, yeah, that's okay, but anything more, the commission's gonna scrutinize, but some
Yeah.
people really wanna put very large walls, and frankly, at the cost of building these walls, it's really a favor for the property owner to say, look, these walls look great when someone draws them on paper, but when you get the bill from the person to build and the materials,
The 9-foot wall.
and a 9-foot wall's not gonna look great. Here, they do have some, I think they've reduced them through the process, they pulled them in a little bit.
Yep.
But I think that we can put that in the resolution, as she continues to be concerned about large walls in and near property lines or large reveals that don't work with the natural landscape.
And do we, refresh my memory, we have it called out specifically that all material, all trucks that are coming to the site are parked on property, not on any throughway.
Carpooling in Parquet.
There's no,
But they can't park on Hoyt Street?
Yeah, that they can't park on Hoyt Court.
Court.
Hoyt
Not
Court,
necessarily the street.
yeah, because it really needs to be contained within the bounds of that lot.
Isn't that K2?
Yeah, I think he made the comment that he understands people need to get by a narrow road.
Yeah, we can clarify that no parking on Hoyt Court. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's, you have to have, you can't cut off emergency access to the people that are at the bottom of the hill.
Well, any access, any access,
Access.
any
Any
yeah.
access.
Yeah, it's very easy to clog that up. And we, Steve, you were particular about drilling down on the fill that was coming in, and you are satisfied on,
Yeah, I mean, Canis corrected all the numbers.
yep,
You know, so he went over, he corrected the numbers. It meets the regulation for, cut and fill numbers and this number and that number for math as well.
Well, she indicated, just in fairness to her, she indicated that he was including certain things she was not including in
Yeah.
definitions.
It was a net, it was a net number or something like that.
Yeah, so
Okay. All right, so we'll look at this one next time. We're not putting anything.
Yeah, that
Any
gives
other
us
comments?
enough information back to us. If you think of anything else, call us. We'll have something ready for next week on that. Thank you.
yeah, okay.
Okay. We're not gonna do anything else tonight, right? What time is it? It's
Yeah.
10 o'clock.
You don't want to do the after the fact pool?
He's not in any rush.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't need it, he doesn't need it.
Right.
Then we got minutes from November 28th and December 6th. I don't have my copies with me, so if you guys got them, any comments, want to approve them?
Let's do it.
yeah, no problem.
No issues reading through either one.
I have no
Right.
problem.
So let's go November 28th.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of people, just thinking real quick.
General meeting. First.
This is prior to Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Right after.
Yeah.
Right after Thanksgiving.
This is for the, getting the cul-de-sac.
Oh, this was the amendment to Sutherland lot line revision.
Yeah,
mandatory-
getting
did
the
mandatory
Lot line,
referral.
mandatory
works.
referral,
Yep,
To get it, to put down the.
mandatory referral. Then the beach was a mandatory referral.
Yeah.
Beach here for deliberations. Thanks, Adam. The Methodist Church, the preschool application. That's when we added the other classroom. Questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors on this one? We're good?
Good.
Looking for a motion to approve. I think Adam made the motion, Mike made the second. All in favor?
6-0, as written. Thank you.
Yep. Then the next one, we have minutes from December 6th, 2023. I guess we finalized the mandatory referral
Yeah.
for that one.
Mhm.
And then,
The referral.
that was the referral in there.
Same thing
We
that
finalized
finalized
the
the beach.
mandatory for the beach.
Yep.
Went over the beach again. That's it right there. Adoption of protection. That was the schedule of the meeting. Did you already cancel that meeting? Family preschool, that's the resolution. We can't change that anyway. There's another resolution from
the childcare home.
childcare home. That's the
state
regulation that
Regulation, we
changed.
had to change that one little
Yeah.
line item.
Yeah,
Yeah, we took out the childcare group and moved it.
Oh, yeah, this was the quick Zoom meeting.
Yeah, that was pretty. Question, comments, typos, scrivener's errors on that one?
nope,
Motion to approve as submitted. Jamie makes a motion, Amy makes a second, all in favor?
6-0, as written.
6,
Thank you.
nothing. All right, next time on the agenda, chairman's report. I don't really have a chairman's report tonight. I was supposed to get together with First Selectman Zagrodsky in the near future, just to go over stuff that we did and stuff that he does, and
okay.
get that dialogue together. So if anybody has any ideas we want to tell him, tell me. It's usually like a coffee thing. Director's report?
Nothing, I'll have updates for next week, but nothing for this week.
Okay, upcoming meetings, we have February 6th and February 13th.
Right, February 6th is the continuation of the car wash at 54 Boston Post Road. We're working with the applicant to make sure he's addressing the concerns and issues. The other item that's on for next week would be an informal presentation about redevelopment of Thorndale Circle. That'll be on informally, just an informal conversation about that. I think that, and then we'll have some draft resolutions and some other items. And
what happened to 2 Squab Lane? Is that
2 Squab Lane, the applicant's representative could not make the next 2 meetings, so they will be on for February 27th.
Okay.
February 27th, I will not be here.
Is there a meeting on the 20th? No?
No meeting at school vacation week.
27th.
It'll be okay.
Are you?
February 20th?
Yeah. Were you gonna sit in on Thorndale Circle?
Probably, it's just an informal.
Informal was definitely, yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, I won't be influential, or won't even try to be influential. I will ultimately be recusing myself.
You will, if it comes to an application. Okay.
Those were the
and do you have the car wash get anything back from the state?
well, they're trying to get a phone call back from the state.
So they may punt this.
They may not go ahead, and that's what Fred and I will be calling the applicant tomorrow or Thursday morning to say, you know, without, I mean, that, right, that was the reason for the continuance, and if you haven't made progress, there's no sense coming back.
So they're not dropping the application, they're just cancel the meeting.
Yeah, that, so they're trying to see if they can get that moved ahead before June.
To extend our deadline.
Yeah, we talked about that how far can we go? And certainly, it could be that if we do run out of time to keep the hearing open, that the applicant would have to withdraw and resubmit. So we talked about that as well.
So, you know, do they have to extend it within a meeting, or they extend it administratively?
You have 65 days to open a hearing, and then you have 35 days to keep it open, and another potential 65 days
to decide
to keep it open.
Oh, okay.
So you have 100 days to keep it open, and that 100th day is on or about February 20th.
Oh, really?
Somewhere around there.
So they do it, okay.
If the
Anything
6th
else to add?
If the 6th is, if it's just Thorndale, should we do that by Zoom? If it's just informal Thorndale?
Yeah,
they have PowerPoint presentations and fancy stuff and all that.
You can do that on Zoom.
We can do it on Zoom.
I'm not a Zoom guy. I'm a paper guy.
So
you could show up.
You could, and we haven't figured out how to do hybrid yet. I mean, I don't want to put our meetings on Zoom. It came up in another town recently.
Just a suggestion.
Okay. Anything else to vote on? 2/3 majority? No? Okay, with that said or not said, motion to adjourn.
Alrighty.
Amy makes the motion. Look at you. Mike makes the second. All in favor? 9:57.